Welcome to the Geek Switch Podcast, turning you on to everything new and nerdy.
Alright guys, welcome to the Geek Switch Podcast. This is episode 1. Today is June 3rd, 2011. My name is Tony Livingston. I'll be your host. I'm also head games editor at Geek Switch. Today with me I have Zach.
Heyo!
He's an editor at Geek Switch. And we have a special guest, just a friend of mine, Colin, filling in since we don't have a lot of people today.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
And I want to apologize ahead of time for the poor audio quality.
We're using a Rock Band microphone.
Yes, we are using a Rock Band microphone, but we wanted to get something out before E3, and there's a lot of stuff coming out this week, and we want to talk about some stuff. So this is just quick and dirty, but hopefully in the future we're going to have some more stuff for you guys. Alright, but we're going to start off today with what we've been playing and watching movie-wise and TV-wise. So, Colin, what have you been seeing lately?
Well, just last night, actually, Tony and I saw the midnight premiere of X-Men First Class, which is something that I think both of us have been looking forward to for quite a while.
Yeah, we did. It's a great movie. I liked it a lot. It's one of the big superhero movies this year. There's a lot of them. We've already seen Thor come out. We have Captain America coming out soon.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, of course. So there's 4 major ones. This is the second, and I think it's really stepped it up in terms of it. I think it's better than Thor was, in my opinion.
It's definitely the best X-Men movie released so far.
Yeah, and if you don't know, this movie is an origin story for the X-Men, not necessarily for a certain character, but for the whole team, kind of. So it goes into the 1960s, and it's all about how Xavier formed this team with the CIA and how they split off from the CIA and all the twists and turns that go on there. So you don't have all the same people. You don't have Cyclops. You don't have the Phoenix. You don't have a lot of people, but you do have Havoc, which is a relative. It's the brother of Cyclops.
In canon, it's his younger brother.
Right. In the movie, it's his older brother. I'm not sure how the timeline works on that. We talked about that a little bit. In that, if it's in the 60s, his brother, how old is he when this is happening?
He'd probably be just born.
Yeah.
I don't know how their timeline works with their movies. I don't know if they were planning on making a sequel.
But you do have some people returning. You have new actors playing the characters of Xavier and Mystique and Magneto, and I think it's really refreshing. You see Magneto done by someone other than Patrick Stewart. This is before he's in a wheelchair.
Didn't Patrick Stewart play Xavier?
Yes, he did.
Is that what I said?
No, you said Magneto.
My mistake. Yes.
Yeah, No, not Christopher Lee. Was it Christopher Lee that played?
No, it was Ian McKellen.
Right. Yeah, Gandalf.
Gandalf the Grey.
Right, Gandalf played Magneto.
Isn't Kevin Bacon in the movie?
Yes, Kevin Bacon is the big bad guy in this movie. He starts off with, early on in the movie, he's torturing Magneto in the Holocaust camps that he went through when he was younger. He's kind of he teaches Magneto that through anger he can bring out all of his powers and his full potential.
Right.
Later on,
it kind of sets up Magneto's motivation for siding with Xavier.
Yeah, because Magneto is going after and trying to kill him because he killed his mother and did all these terrible things to him when he was a kid. So it's a great movie. I think a lot of people should check it out, especially if you had some reservations. I think it's still something you should definitely take a look at. It's great.
Yep.
All right. Anything else movie-wise you guys have seen?
You want to talk about Pirates at all?
Yeah, we saw Pirates. Pirates was good. We saw it in 3D.
What pirates are we talking about? Blackbeard?
Yes.
Pirates of the Caribbean 4. Pirates 4, it's on Stranger Tides, I believe.
On Stranger Tides, yes.
Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. This one is mostly a new cast. Like the only characters that are still there from the previous franchises are obviously Johnny Depp
As Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow, and then his first mate, whose name I can't recall off the top of my head.
It's First Matey, whatever.
And then
Captain Barbossa?
Barbossa, yeah.
But then you also have a lot of new people coming in.
Right.
You have Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz
Is that right?
as
I'm
tempted to say Isabella, but that's only because I played Dragon Age 2.
Right.
Female pirate. What was her name?
I don't recall.
Angelica or something like that? Anyway.
The plot of those movies kind of loses me. I think I personally go to see those movies. It's kind of a spectacle. And that's why it was cool 3D this time.
Oh, yeah.
To have it in 3D. I might not have even seen it if it wasn't 3D. I know a lot of people are turned off by that, but for me that's a big plus. Other than that, the movie It was okay.
Yeah, I felt like, the main issue with it was that, Johnny Depp as, as the primary protagonist, as the straight man, was not something that Jack Sparrow, it's not really a role designed for Jack Sparrow. I mean, he's a force of chaos in the previous movies, and you have Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley's characters to balance him out, but yeah.
So now he's more of a protagonist in this movie.
Yeah, it's not really the same feel. It's not.
And you've seen the original 3 movies,
yeah,
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about the series? Do you want to see the new movie?
I'd like to see the new movie. I think the first couple movies were great. The third movie just kind of lost it. Got a little out of hand. But on a serious note, were there any pirate chanties in the new movie? I know that there was in the third movie.
No, but it is interesting that you bring that up. I believe the director also has done musicals in the past of the new one. The new director for Pirates has done musicals in the past. And so a lot of the fighting does feel very dancey. You see, it's very well choreographed, but it's not as physical as in the past, I think.
Right. There are a lot of neat set pieces as well, but...
And of course, the big gimmick at this time, I think, is the mermaids.
Yes, that's...
Mermaids are a big
primary
plot point. And they're very cool. They're cool to look at, and everyone likes mermaids, but...
So what was the major premise of this movie? We haven't discussed that at all.
Well, it's complicated. He's, of course, looking for his ship, the Black Pearl.
That's how he gets dragged into the primary plot of the film.
Yeah, and whatever her name is, Penelope Cruz.
Yeah, Penelope Cruz's character.
She's impersonating him and trying to get a crew together to go and find the Fountain of Youth.
Right.
And so they're going to find the Fountain of Youth, and it gets crazy from there. We're not going to go too much into depth with spoilers and stuff, but needless to say, it's kind of overcomplicated for me, I think.
So
and not because I'm necessarily a simpleton, but because it tries to do too much, I think.
We're all friends here, Tony. It's okay.
So should I see this movie or not?
I'd recommend seeing it if you're not going into it with setting your expectations as high as maybe the first two films. Like, would you say it's better than At World's End?
Honestly, personally, I think it's the worst of the Pirates movies, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I think all the Pirates movies are great.
Right.
But I think it's the weakest, and maybe they'll be better once they have more direction for the next one, if they do make another one, which I assume they will.
If you like Pirates, I mean, if you like the series, you won't hate the movie. I mean, it's good, but not. I wouldn't say it's great like the first 2 movies.
Yeah. So we're gonna go with good, not great on that one.
Yeah.
I think also Dante, our big head at Geek Switch, has written a review of that, which I haven't read. Have you read that?
Needs a little bit of unscrambling before.
Well, what did he think of it?
Right.
I think the overall consensus was that he liked it a lot, and that he thinks that what I got from it, if you've seen the other 3 movies, that you should probably see this one also, and that Penelope Cruz and the actor who played Blackbeard were great additions to the film.
Do you know what the score was that he gave it?
I don't remember.
Well, I think, yeah, if you've seen the movies and you liked them, I think it's good to give it a shot. If not, then I don't think this is going to change your mind, probably. Yeah. Okay, and before we move on from movies, I think we'll just talk about some movie trailers for what's coming out this summer. There's a lot of good movies coming out. First one I want to talk about is Green Lantern,
right?
Which, of course, is a huge DC property. Finally coming to the big screen. Are you guys excited about this movie?
Absolutely, yes.
I think it looks a little cartoonish.
It does. I have my reservations about it. What are your problems with it? You're saying it's cartoonish, but in what way?
If you've seen the animation direction, it looks a lot more cartoony than a lot of the other action films that have come out. And I just don't see Ryan Reynolds as a serious superhero. I see him as a comedian. That's all I've ever seen him as. Best movie he's been in, Van Wilder. That's all I see when I see Ryan Reynolds.
He was also in the movie with that little girl, but that was...
What was that, yes or maybe?
Yeah, definitely maybe.
Same thing.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind
those
of the
are the 2 movies he's been in.
Yeah, that's the sort of role they're going for with him in this movie, is more of a comedic superhero, like very much like Peter Parker in
or
Spider-Man
like
movies.
Almost like Tony Stark and Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he played a better Deadpool, and that they should have kept him as the Deadpool character.
That's the other problem. Is he is Deadpool in the other universe, in Marvel's movies, obviously. I guess not in the actual Marvel continuity. He's not, because he's not that he wasn't in the Marvel Studios stuff. He was in the Fox stuff with the Wolverine and the X-Men.
X-Men
So he's not necessarily in. They could recast Deadpool, I think. Question is, will they? Who knows? But Green Lantern, I think we're all pretty excited about it. I'd say tentatively for me. I'm not ready to, embrace it open arms, but I think it could be really good.
Yeah, until the next Batman movie comes out, if it does come out, which I'm sure it will. But
That'll be next year, I think.
Right.
That's the Dark Knight Rises.
They released some viral videos just today of that, actually.
Yeah, and that one I want to keep kind of spoiler free personally. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited for that movie. I'm a fan of the series. So.
Yeah, very much.
I'm sad it's coming to an end after this one.
And then, of course, the last big superhero movie this summer is going to be the first Avenger, Captain America, which is, of course, setting up for the Avengers movie next summer, which is going to have all these big Marvel superheroes in it.
But yet again, they took another superhero that had already been in another film and made him into a new superhero.
Right. Who's played
was
by
he?
Chris Evans, who also played the Human Torch.
Oh, did he?
Which was
Fantastic
Fox,
Four.
I believe, also, which is the same as. It's the same. It's either Fox or it's with the Spider-Man stuff, but I don't think it's Sony.
But I guess it's a little opposite of Ryan Reynolds. They took him from being a comedic superhero to a now more serious role as Captain America.
Yeah, he goes from the very wisecracking Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and becomes Captain America.
The American badass.
But I think there's also a lot of room for him to be kind of funny, especially in the early parts before he becomes superpowered.
Right.
I think. I don't know how serious they're gonna play it. The trailers seem to be playing it pretty serious. I'm a huge Captain America fan. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I think most people who know me know that.
I'm not too much of a fan of Captain America, but that's mostly because I don't know much about him as a character, and so this film will be
Well, Captain
Discovery.
America, in a lot of ways, is very much the Superman of the Marvel universe. He's the guy that everyone turns to. He's the leader of the Avengers. He's Captain America. So it'll be interesting to see how they can do that, and then next year with the Avengers movie, if that's successful, are they going to keep doing more of these spin-offs, or are they going to just make more Avengers movies? What do you guys think? Would you rather see them go with Avengers movies, or would you rather see them keep making like a Thor 2 or Captain America 2?
I'd rather see
in
them
addition
as
to the Avengers.
single superheroes.
I'd rather see the more films that are more focused on the individual characters.
I think
Avengers
that's
are
good for
cool.
origin stories, but when you're talking about doing these huge things, and I think they want to get to the point where they can do a huge set piece thing like Transformers and have a bunch of people fighting in these huge fights. I
that's
think
just-
you have to do Avengers with that.
That's just it. I feel like if they did that, it's going to become a little childish, and
Yeah, I feel
kind of
like-
you'd be watching the cartoon.
Well,
on
it's being
TV.
directed by Joss Whedon, I believe.
Is who's directing the
Yeah,
Avengers movie?
and he's very prolific in geek culture. A lot of people like him.
Yeah.
He also did Firefly.
Yeah,
he does a
he's-
lot of comic writing. Very famous guy. So I think he's going to do a good job with it. The question is, what are
But
what are they going to do if it's successful?
I just hope they bring everyone together in a cohesive way. I mean, they in the newest version of the Hulk, they had Edward Norton as the Hulk, and they even put Tony Stark at the end of that. But now they're changing to Mark Ruffalo as the new Hulk, so that's just going to confuse
Right.
some
And
people.
are they making a new Hulk movie also, or are they making him just in the
I think they're
Avengers
just
movie?
making him in the Avengers. as
Because
far
I
as
thought I
know.
had heard they were going to do another Hulk movie, and I hope not.
Yeah, there's
I think
plenty of those.
honestly, I think they should have stuck
I
with
thought
Edward
the one
Norton.
with Edward Norton was a lot better than the first one they had made.
Oh, I
I'm kinda
agree,
disappointed
definitely.
that they-
It's definitely better, and I think it's about as good a Hulk origin kind of movie we could expect as a
Right.
reboot. Okay, so I think that's all the superhero movies, but there's also some other stuff coming out. Super 8 we're all excited about, which is the
Yeah,
new
I-
Spielberg movie, right?
Yeah,
Is he directing or just producing?
I think
on that,
he's.
do you know?
I think he's just producing, but I could be wrong. You might want to look that up. But
Whatever. The point is he's involved. It looks very much in the style of like Goonies mixed with,
Yeah.
any of those kind of handheld camera movies like Blair Witch or.
I'm not sure they went in that
Yeah.
direction. Never seen the newer trailers.
yeah, I don't think they're actually going.
I think we'll see some footage like that
Right.
in the movie.
yeah,
but it is
definitely
much
got-
more like a Goonies or E.T. kind of vibe
Yeah, I
to
got a
it.
very strong Goonies vibe from the trailer.
Either way, it looks great.
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
excited to
very
see
much looking forward to it.
what
Have you guys
if
seen
it's
any of
aliens or
the
what it's
supposed
supposed to
leaked pictures of it?
I haven't.
of
Well,
the alien. Is it
Yeah,
supposed to be
I mean,
alien?
well, I don't want to go into spoilers right now. You guys can look that up on your own time. But it's not a final character design. Probably it was just a concept sketch, but it looked pretty interesting.
Is it Cloverfield?
No, it has like 4 arms. It's not quite as big as Cloverfield,
Okay.
but I think it'll be a good movie.
Yeah, I'm very much.
I don't know what
looking
much.
forward to
More, I don't know if we have much more to say about it. Other
No,
than
I mean, I really
I'm
don't.
excited.
I don't think anyone really knows a whole lot about
Yeah, I
it.
think
That's part of the mystery,
Yeah, I think they're
and that's
purposely
why we're
keeping
excited
it,
about it.
They're purposely keeping as much as they can from the the viewers.
They're kind of going with the Cloverfield
Mhm.
mentality on that too,
Mhm.
which I hope it's not a disappointment like Cloverfield was.
You're disappointed by Cloverfield?
I liked
just
it.
just the camera movements in it, just kind of jerky and all over the place. But
Yeah,
That was a lot for a lot of people that
a lot
had
of people
problems with
didn't
that.
like that.
I mean, the storyline was good, and I was hoping that they would make a second one to actually explain what was going on.
Yeah.
But, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Movies.
So moving on, we got Transformers: Dark of the Moon, Transformers 3
Excited.
coming out. It's the first 3D one, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
so
More spectacle.
yeah, if you like a bunch of shapes flying around the screen, and now you'll have them flying at your face as
Not
well.
gonna lie, probably most excited about this movie of any movie coming out this summer.
Really?
Really? I've not really heard many people saying that.
Hmm.
And personally, let me explain something. I'm not terribly excited about it, but for me, I'm going to see it in theaters in 3D because I don't have a 3D TV.
Right.
I'm not going to watch it home in 3D. I want to see it in 3D the first time, at least. So, I'm not that excited for it, but why are you excited about it?
I think I'm most excited for it to see if the franchise can redeem itself with the third movie.
Uh-huh.
I
Oh, yeah,
think
the second one's abysmal.
Do you think it's going to redeem itself, or are you more like just want to see what happens?
From what I've read about it, Michael Bay decided to go a lot more of a storyline direction and less action in this one. I am
Thank
a
God.
fan of the action, but from what I've seen on the previews, it looks like he put plenty of that in there, and it looks like it might be a little bit darker of a story than the other ones.
Mhm.
And I just hope that it ends in a good place.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you feel about I mean, you obviously didn't like Transformers 2, but you like Transformers 1?
Oh, I like both of them.
Did?
I didn't agree with a lot of people on the second one. I mean, it's a filler movie, and a lot of second movies are just like that.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I've seen both movies, and I think I've only seen them once each, but I don't regret seeing either of them, and I enjoyed them. A lot of people have a lot of problems with Transformers 2. It was a little boring at times. It's a lot of action, a lot of heavy action that you have to pay a lot of attention to, but at the end of the day, it was okay.
I'm a guy who likes action. I mean, even in video games, I have to play a game where I'm shooting constantly, or I get bored of it. But
If you get on Mass Effect 2, finally.
it's definitely one that I'm going to keep an eye out. And it's one you'd have to see in theaters. I wouldn't wait to rent it if you're going to see it at all.
Yeah, I think if you're going to see this movie, I say don't wait for it to come out. See it the way it is meant to be seen, as a big spectacle in 3D on this
Yeah,
huge screen.
It's like Avatar in that regard. I mean, like the only
Not
real,
quite as good, but
right. The only I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me that there's no way to see Avatar that's like seeing it in theaters in 3D the first time.
unless you get a Blu-ray,
Right.
with the TV and get a 3D TV and all that stuff, but that's thousands of dollars.
Right.
Not really doable for most people. All right, and I think there was another one you wanted to talk about, Zach, was Muppets.
Oh, yeah, I just saw the trailer for the Muppets. It's kind of a teaser trailer where they led you to believe. Before I even knew what it was, I thought it was just going to be a sappy romance
With Jason Segel, right?
Jason Segel
He wrote
and
this movie.
Amy Adams
Mhm.
are both in it, and I don't have much to say about it.
Do you know
Just
anything
check
about
out
the plot?
trailer.
Like, what's the basic
Yeah,
premise?
I haven't heard really anything about it.
It looks like the basic premise is that Jason Segel and Amy Adams are kind of a thing, and I think the Muppets help them get together in some way. It's like I said, it's really a teaser trailer, and you'd have to look it up. I can't really explain what happens in it.
Right. Now, do you think this is going to be a movie that appeals to people who are just nerds, or is this more for people who are fans of the Muppets and children? Is this something that I can go and enjoy? I don't have much context with the Muppets outside of Muppet Babies when I was a child, but
Well, if you ever watched like the Muppet Show, you know that the Muppets actually are more of an adult humor. If you think about it, so I think that it's actually aiming
gonna stick
towards
with that,
a
you
lot
think?
more adult humor. So I mean, they're going to keep it safe for kids, but there's going to be a lot of hidden jokes in it, I believe.
Yeah, you really ought to. If you haven't, you really ought to see Muppet Christmas Carol. And
I
Well,
haven't.
that's
I
my
have very, like I
favorite
said, I have
version,
very
is
little
Christmas
context.
Carol.
yeah, it's great.
I think I may have seen it on, as a child at some point, but I don't remember it very well.
I actually have Muppet Treasure Island sitting on top of my television right now from Netflix.
There you go. Alright, and the last movie we're going to talk about today is Harry Potter 8. Or Harry Potter 7
7
Part
Part
2, whatever you want to call it. The new Harry Potter movie, the last Harry Potter
Supposed
movie.
to be the shortest of the series, but I think it's going to be the best.
Hopefully there will be less camping this time.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about 7 Part 1?
Awful. I mean, I ordered it on
It-
pay-per-view and
It dragged on.
regretted it.
It was.
Yeah.
There was not a lot going on in that movie. It's compared to 6, which is easily my favorite of the series of the movies so far. It's just couldn't stand up to it.
Unlike
And what's your guys' favorite books? Like, what's your favorite book here? 'Cause
Oh.
mine personally is 6. I think it's my favorite movie.
I
right now,
only
too.
read up to the Order of the Phoenix, and probably my favorite one was the Goblet of Fire up until that point.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm inclined to agree with
You
you.
like Goblet of
It's
Fire?
either that or Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite.
Interesting. I've always found Goblet of Fire to be my least favorite, but that's probably because I read it a lot. Because when I started to get into Harry Potter, that was right as that book was coming out. So I read it, from the front to the back multiple times, and it's the longest book too, isn't it? 4, I believe, is the longest of the books.
No,
I think it is
it's.
slightly longer than 5.
I don't think so. I think 7 is definitely. It's
The 7
maybe
books?
not 7.
They're all pretty long.
They're-
It's all-
yeah.
I feel like I think I'm okay in saying 4 is the longest. I could be wrong, but whatever.
5 is my least favorite.
Hold that
though.
against me.
That's
7.
You didn't like
Part
5?
1.
I did not like 5.
I liked 5. 5 was one of my favorites, actually. It was up there. I'd say my personal favorites go 6, then 5, then 3 for my top 3.
Are we talking movies or books?
Books.
Just books here.
In terms of movies, I think the series jumped around a lot in terms
Actually, I
of
might
how
go with
good
7.
they
Book
were.
7 instead of book as my number 2.
Yeah,
But
5. My problem with 5 was that Harry's character is like very much focused on him being an angsty teenager, and which is fine and everything. But I much preferred him in 6, where he's starting to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, what I love about 6 is that it's really the only book in the series that truly tackles romance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And
you
it
get
does
some
it
of that
well.
in 7, but that's more of a denouement kind of thing. That's a finisher for what was taking place in 6. You see
Yeah.
all these relationships really develop.
And I think in 5, at the end of 5, nothing really happened until the very end.
Right.
Probably the last 100 pages of the book. You have to sit through a lot of explaining to get to anything good.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the books, do you think this movie's going to live up to the franchise?
I feel like it has.
Do you
the
think it's going to
potential
just be an action-packed thrill ride because they jam-packed that part of the movie into a second movie?
I'm
I
actually
feel like that could happen.
I'm actually
but-
kind of hoping that does happen. I mean, because
Right,
it
you like
has
action.
to make up for. Well, I mean, I like action, and it has to make up for
Make
what
up for
7
part 1.
lacked.
Yeah.
That's true. Part 1, so slow, you kind of have to do something.
Yeah.
Literally, they just ran through everyone, which didn't make any sense to me why they would have to run. But I'm really looking forward to part 2, and I hope that it does justice to the book.
Okay, so outside of that, we're going to go and talk about some TV that we've been watching lately. As you know, in America here, the spring season just pretty much ended for all the shows, I think. Some of our favorites of what we, here watch. We
Right.
have Glee, Community, The Office, Parks and Recreation. A lot of comedies and stuff. We're not as heavy as some of the other people at Geek Switch into the more sci-fi shows, like
Sci-fi,
or
and
anime.
and
Yeah, there are people definitely who write at Geek Switch who talk about that kind of thing. But let's just talk about the conclusions of these seasons. really quick. Of those 4 shows, let's not get too much into all the shows, but Glee, you saw the ending? The
Yes.
New York finale?
Yeah, I felt like I was really disappointed in the finale of season 2. I mean, I didn't expect them to win nationals, but I also expected a lot more group singing in the last couple episodes. They did a lot of individual, and that just kind of made the show boring for me, and it just kind of grew tired. All the things they started talking about, the shows were all about the same thing. A lot about homosexuality, and the relationships just got confusing after all. I know.
I didn't see the finale, but there was, towards the end of the season, there was just so much stuff about Kurt, and
Kurt was very much almost the star of this whole season.
Yeah.
You know, his arc as a character, it kind of defined the season. You know, all this dealing with, going to a different school and stuff. There's a lot of drama, and his dad, of course, having a heart attack or a stroke or whatever.
That was
he
so
had.
long ago, I can't even believe it.
Yeah, but that's still the
season
season.
2.
Honestly, Glee season 2 not as strong as season 1.
No,
They did some good songs.
It was. I mean, the songs is what made it weaker than season 1 because
True.
They did a lot more songs that people didn't know, and like I said, a lot more solos, which people really aren't interested in. If you look at like iTunes, the songs that are getting downloaded are the ones the whole group is singing.
right.
I mean, the Warblers were fantastic. They had probably brought the most sales in for Glee this season, I believe.
What about the original songs? Do you know how those sold?
I haven't heard much about them. I thought that they were okay. Probably the originals from regionals were better than the ones they did at finals.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish they would stop doing original songs so much. The worst thing about the finale for me, personally, is Matthew Morrison singing his own song.
Yeah,
Coming
that was
out,
just kind
and
of
Yeah, I
he
heard
sings a
about
song that he, it's blatant self-promotion.
Yeah, it's
and
on his
and it
debut
feels
album.
really weird, and I'm like, who is this song? And I'm like, oh, right, this is his song.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, the thing I read a lot about why they ended the season the way they did. Ryan Murphy was saying that he felt like Glee, the New Directions wasn't ready. They weren't developed enough to win or even place at nationals, and this whole season was about the team becoming united, and he's going to wait till next season for anything to happen. I've also heard rumors about spin-offs of Glee during
Yes.
season 4, where they're going to be in college and they're going to be following individual groups as they get jobs in the real world. And I don't know how well that's going
not
to go.
something I would be inclined to watch.
Yeah, I think Fox, of course, wants to capitalize on this huge moneymaker they have. Just in the same way they do that, they have multiple nights of, American Idol. They're gonna have multiple nights of Glee. And do we want that? Probably not. This is a franchise that was really cool. This is, it's a show. When it started, it was really cool. It was doing something that nothing else did. It was something that was really creative and interesting. And now it's just become so mainstream in the worst kind of way. Not necessarily because, oh, I'm a hipster, I hate new things. This is a problem on a basic level of they have to appeal to everyone at this point.
Yeah, they're just really trying to do too much. They're making it so ridiculous, some of the episodes so ridiculous that they just kind of get lost. I didn't really understand why they had Sam and Mercedes get together at the end of the
Spoilers,
season.
but
if you haven't watched it, I'm sorry.
sorry if you haven't watched Glee.
And then I know that everybody is always like, oh, it's Will and Emma, they have to get together. I personally like Gwyneth Paltrow way better than Emma. I mean, Gwyneth's hot and she's funny, and Emma just kind of annoys me. I know Tony's not with me on this one.
I do disagree. I think Emma and I think they have to work out in the end. They're the definitive couple of Glee outside of Rachel and Finn. And they're the only, because Rachel and Finn eventually will leave high school. Whereas these are teachers, they'll probably be there for a long time.
I just think that Gwyneth Paltrow brought something that Emma didn't have in she could actually sing.
She did, but I don't think she was a good match for him.
I thought she was
Necessarily.
wonderful. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Zach on this one.
Fair enough. So I think, are we hopeful that Glee season 3 is going to be good? Are we going to keep watching it? I'm going to keep watching it.
I hope they bring back more songs like "Don't Stop Believin'" and stuff, and the Bon Jovi songs.
Yeah, let's look here.
Stop Doing
They ended season 1 with Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, they ended season 2 with an original song that was
Yeah, and
So-
Right.
they need to stop doing chart toppers and need to start doing stuff that is from the 70s and 80s. That's what
Stuff
made
that
the show-
everyone knows.
That's what made
classics
the
like
sing
Jesse's
along to.
Girl, the greatest song of all time.
show. I could listen to the Glee season 1 soundtracks all day long. I mean, a lot of them were better than the originals, but season 2, I can't. I had a hard time finding anything on YouTube I even want to listen to.
Yeah, maybe it's just because season 2 is the way it is, but I think I've probably lost interest in the series at this point.
Are you going to keep watching next season?
I might watch the first couple of episodes and see where they go with it, but you know, if it doesn't wow me, I'm probably not going to watch it anymore.
The one redeeming factor of season 2 was that they did Rebecca Black's Friday, and they did it much better. Than
The prom
she-
episode, I think there were a lot of good episodes. I think there were just a lot of terrible episodes. Like, really just a bad... Like, the worst episode for me was the religion episode. Where it feels like it's, you know, it almost feels like they're beating you over the head with certain
Yeah.
issues.
Was that season 2?
That was season 2, yes.
I mean, I really didn't have a problem with it, but yeah. That's all you need to know.
We'll move
All
on.
right.
So another show we watch is Parks and Rec. Park and Recreation. That's
Probably
on.
my favorite show on television
Never seen
right
an
now.
episode.
That's Colin's personal favorite show. Zach's never seen it, so he's gonna sit out this little discussion. But so, how did you feel about the way that they kind of shoved the last part of that season out? You know, they had all these other shows that were having hour-long episodes, and they have the last 4 episodes of Parks and Rec. I believe were on 2 nights. They did 2
Yeah.
episodes a night, which for how good that show is, I feel like is a little disgraceful.
Right. I feel like it, you know, as a series deserved something a bit better.
And I mean, it makes sense. They had to hold it over as a mid-season replacement for when something failed. I forget. I don't think they canceled anything. I think they just expanded their lineup
They
this
just
year.
can't. They
went-
cannot
they had
keep
another
anything
year.
in that 8 o'clock slot though.
Yeah,
Is
that,
it
that
8
whole
o'clock?
slot, that whole time slot, outside of The Office and Community and Parks and Rec, they have some hard time finding stuff. I think next week.
What was the
next,
last one? Like the Michael Reisner show
Oh,
or
God,
something?
The Paul Reiser show
Paul Reiser.
was dreadful.
Oh, my
It
God.
ran for 2 episodes, and I believe they're going to run off the rest of them over the summer. But that show, not funny at all.
No.
Then there's shows like Undeclared, which I've got universally just hatred from everybody. I'm okay with the show now. I've watched the whole first season. I've seen the movie. It's based on a movie, an indie comedy. But it's not great. I would be surprised to see it back next year. Who knows? I don't know if it's gotten renewed or not. But Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, yes.
Do you feel like the endings was satisfying?
As an ending,
Ending for, was it season 3? Yeah, season
this was season 3.
Yeah, season 3.
Yeah. I
No.
felt like it definitely could have
Yes.
been better, but
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't a big bang at the end of the season.
Right.
You know, with other shows, you know, Glee had its big nationals. The Office has, of course, them trying to hire a new boss because Steve Carell's leaving. We'll talk about that
Right.
in a bit. Community had their 2-part paintball episode. We'll talk about that. But Parks and Rec just kind of ended their season. I mean, they
Yeah.
were solid, good episodes, very funny, but
now aren't they? Isn't that halfway? Aren't they doing that halfway through the season, or are they really done?
they're done now.
They're done.
They're
Okay.
done for the season. The only, and this
I
is
remember hearing something like
spoilers really quick if you haven't seen the finale. Leslie is apparently going to be next season possibly running for office,
Right.
which is a problem because she has a relationship with Scott. I don't remember what his character's name is, but it's Scott. Someone.
Ben.
Ben, yes. So Ben and Leslie are going to have issues next year because they have a secret relationship. He's her boss, and
Which
she's
is
going to try and
illegal.
run for office. So who knows? That's going to be an interesting season. But there's not really much more to say. Like I said, it was kind of it went out with a whimper, not a bang, but it was
Right.
good.
Not to interrupt, but on Glee, isn't Sue Sylvester supposedly running for office also next season of Glee?
I believe so. But who knows? With her, she always says something one episode and next
Yeah.
year. I think we'll get this out of the way before we move on to something that Zach can still talk about. We'll just talk about Community really quick. The last episode. This is my personal favorite show on television. Season 2 just as strong as season 1. Season
Oh, yeah,
1
definitely.
was amazing. They ended it with a bang this season with a 2-part paintball episode instead of the 1 episode of paintball they did last year. You know, as an homage, they did it in the style of a western and then a Star Wars parody. I thought it was great. I thought they ended the series well.
Very
the
much
season
enjoyed
well.
it.
Yeah, I'm glad they're coming back for another season. I think it's phenomenally written. I think everyone should be watching this show.
Yeah.
I mean, as a new viewer, I've seen
You're what,
couple
6 or 7 episodes
yeah,
into
six
season
or
1?
7 episodes into season 1. I really like it. I haven't seen an episode that I haven't laughed.
Mhm.
I just haven't had a chance to really get into it yet, but it would be one I would recommend to someone who has not seen it yet.
And like I said, season 2 is just finished, so season 2 box set's coming out. This is a great time if you want to go catch up on season 1. I'd say get on it.
Yeah.
Season 2 should be coming to Hulu Plus, I believe, soon.
Hopefully, yeah. Although I don't think it plays on your Xbox or PS3. It doesn't do any of the stuff because
be on the internet.
Community
Right,
for
just
some reason
web
is
only.
web only, which that's a whole story for another time because Hulu Plus is confusing like that. And then finally, the biggest one for us probably, as far as changes to the series, is The Office.
The Office, yes.
I've been a fan of The Office since the beginning. I don't know about you guys when you guys got in.
I got in. I think it was either season 3 or season 4.
Yeah, I literally got in on episode 1 because I was a fan of the British series.
I'd never seen it before. I'd seen the American series. So
I personally never. I've jumped around from episode to episode, and every one I've seen I've liked a lot.
Mhm.
It's just really hard for me to watch anything in this season because not a lot of time. But I did watch both finale episodes, and they're both very good.
Yeah, it was an hour-long finale, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two-part. What did you guys think about the cameos?
I thought there were just a lot of cameos. They hit you with cameos over and over. They had, James Spader?
Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
Ray Romano.
Ray Romano. Jim Carrey. You
I like
have
the fact that they
Ricky
were-
Gervais,
Yeah.
who was, of course, the boss from the original Office in Britain, playing the same character, I might add. He has the same name and everything.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. He was there earlier in the season, too. He made a quick cameo. This is his second time. And then, was there anyone else? Of course, there's plenty of
female
people.
that I can't remember.
Yeah, it was
I
a
don't know
British
who she
lady. I don't
was.
remember what her name is in real life. She was okay. And then there was, of course, people from The Office that were applying as well.
Right.
And Will Ferrell was on the season,
Yes.
obviously off and on before the finale.
Obviously, if you don't know, The Office has run for, 7 years now with Steve Carell as the boss, 6 or 7 years. And so now he's leaving. They gave him, a pretty good send-off this season as a last season for him. They
Oh,
gave him
yeah,
a good,
I
they gave him a
loved
good
that
conclusion
episode.
with Holly and stuff. There were some cheesy moments, but I thought overall it was good. Now they have to find a replacement because they're going to keep this show going.
Who do you guys think should replace Michael Scott?
That's a tough call.
Yeah.
Will Arnett was on too, as a
Yep, yep.
guest. I think personally, I would love to see Ricky Gervais.
I would too. That would be my top choice.
I would not want to see Ray Romano on there.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think Ray
definitely not.
Romano or Jim Carrey is a real option. I think
don't-
those were brought in as just cameos.
Yeah, I don't think that was a serious candidate for.
I know there have been. I read it online, the discussions about it, but I don't know who. Nobody even knows who's serious replacements for him. I think Will Ferrell or Ricky Gervais would be the best too.
Well, Will Ferrell's not going to come back.
Right.
Because of
it's
what?
wishful thinking.
Well, because of the episodes that came up right before that, he's not going to come back.
No.
At least not as a manager.
No.
Personally, and this is kind of a out of left field because you don't think they would actually get someone from the show, but I would love to see Andy, played by
God, what's his name?
he's in The Hangover.
I can't think of his
Plays
name.
Andy Bernard. I would love to
Yeah.
see his character take over the office as the boss. I think the interesting thing then would be how he deals with Erin as her boss.
I think it would be funny to see Dwight also.
We've seen Dwight though, and he
yeah.
shot a gun off in the office.
Well,
Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen this season.
Yeah, I mean, I like Dwight. He's a funny character, but him as the boss, I can't really see it.
I mean, I think they could do some
Not-
funny
not
things.
permanent.
I think they could do some funny things with it, but I also don't know how strong the show's going to do after Steve Carell.
After Steve,
It'll be
yeah.
interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think it was smart of them to have him not leave as the last episode, because that would have been very convenient for people to stop watching at that point. You could say, "Oh, Steve Carell's done. I'm done watching The Office." Now they're like, "Oh, well, I'm going to keep watching the rest of the season," and you keep going with those characters.
Yeah.
So it was very smart of them to not just end with him leaving.
I wouldn't be surprised if next season they do kind of what they did with Will Ferrell and just have a lot of temps come in if they can't decide on who they want to replace Michael Scott. I think a lot more people would watch if we get more cameos like Will Ferrell.
It'll be interesting to see what they do next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't pick a boss, so we'll find out, hopefully, the first week back.
Hopefully, first episode, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be strange for them to keep that hidden for any longer than that, but obviously we're not going to hear much unless they put out hiring news, which, who knows.
Yeah, that was a really smart move by them.
And outside of that, that's the last TV show we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get on to news, I want to talk about LA Noire. I recently wrote a review of it. It's up on geekswitch.net. I believe it's up now, isn't it? Is it not?
I believe it.
If not, it'll
was
be up
posted
soon,
recently
hopefully.
this week.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought the game was great. Collins also played it. He's not done with it.
Right, I'm just finishing the
Homicide?
part 2 of 4, yeah, Homicide.
Homicide desk, which there are 4 desks. You start off on traffic, and then you move up to homicide, then vice, then arson. And you go through all these cases. The thing that's really great about this game, though, is the face animations.
Facial capture is incredible.
It's unlike anything you've ever seen in any movie or game.
No.
It's better than anything else. I mean, it's. The question is, will this look good in a few years? Who knows? But right now, it's the best thing out there.
I would love to see them use this technology for a lot more games.
Do you think we're
from
going to
now
see it
on.
in Grand Theft Auto 5 when that gets announced?
I could see it happening.
Do you think we're going to see it in
definitely.
all future Rockstar games? I mean, I'd love to if they could do it, but it seems like it'd be a very, costly
I was
kind
going to
of
say
thing.
they'd have to have a bigger budget to put something
Yeah.
like that in there.
Although, if you're making Grand Theft Auto 5, I think you have a pretty big budget.
Yeah,
You're
definitely.
going to bring in a lot of money from the game.
The only question is, it's for that game, it wouldn't be as important as it is for LA Noire, because LA Noire, what it does is it puts you in these interrogation situations, and you're talking to these people, and you're asking them questions about the crime scene and the events of where they were, alibis, things like that. And you can ask them a question, and when they respond, you can either decide if they're telling the truth, they're lying, and if they're lying, you have to have a piece of evidence, or you can doubt them, which means that you don't think they're telling the truth, but you don't really have anything to back that up with. So you really do need those facial tics that this game does,
Right. What?
to tell which one you have to pick.
Right. For me, what makes LA Noire great is that the interrogations and the interpersonal scenes are so well done that those are the highlight of the game, rather than the action sequences.
Definitely. I love investigating a crime scene.
So what about someone who likes to skip past a lot of cutscenes? Is this a game for them?
You can't. You cannot skip cutscenes.
No.
Well, unless you've played it before and you're redoing it.
You're right. Your first time through. But this is a game that you're going to want to play through the story. This is
Yeah,
not a game
this
you're
is-
going to want to go out and just jump into action. The
Yeah, this is
action in
not-
this game, in my
yeah.
opinion, is rubbish.
Yeah,
it's
it's
one of the
not
main
very
reasons
good.
I gave it a 4 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5.
If they
Because
yeah.
you're basically playing Grand Theft Auto with worse control somehow. Although they did make one nice improvement, which is you run
With
by
the
holding the right trigger instead of tapping A.
Yeah.
I don't know why Rockstar loves to make you tap A, but they always have, and they always probably will, unless this is any sign of change. Overall, I think it's a good game. There were some definite problems with the story later on that I'm not going to talk about because no one here has gotten that far besides me, and I don't want to spoil anything
And
for
I'm
you guys
not
out
going to
there.
get that far. So.
He'll probably never get that far. I had some problems. It was right after the third act. If you get there, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just a lack of foreshadowing, in my opinion.
I imagine I will. So.
Yeah. But overall, it's something that I think it's something that if you're a fan of games, you're going to want to play it because it does something that no other game is doing.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us up to speed on what we've been playing and watching lately, guys. So now we're going to move on to news. First of which is hot off the presses. We have U-Draw coming to Xbox 360 and PS3.
The big thing about this is I'm hoping that it's a lot better than the one for the Wii. The Wii had to offer was coloring books and just a lot of little kid stuff that adults really couldn't get into.
Yeah, I had no experience with the U-Draw on the Wii. I had never even used it. So.
Well, let me tell you guys a little bit about it. First off, it's a new hardware. It's not going to be the same kind of thing. It's doing what it's called high definition input, which means that it has 2,000 by 16,000 resolution. 1600 resolution. It has multi-touch, so it's not just a single input anymore. You can do pinch and zoom, all those things that Apple does with the iPhone. Rotating things. And apparently it has a tilt sensor built in. So
Here's hoping for Kirby's
I-
Tilt and Tumble then.
I don't know why you need a tilt sensor if you're drawing on it, but
Well, I know that the Wii U Draw also had that.
well, that was because it was built into the controller
it
though,
used-
which you plugged in. So now they're building it into the controller instead of building it into the Wii U.
Yeah, I found on the Wii it was really laggy and really hard to control. So I'm hoping that they made improvements on that. And I'm not sure.
It looks like it's going to come with a new version of UDraw Studio called UDraw Studio Instant Artist with new tutorials and a new interface.
Yeah, I would probably have to see someone else use it or try out a demo before deciding if I'd want to actually even endeavor into this.
Did you have any games for the UDraw when you had it for your Wii besides the one that comes with it?
Yeah, the only two that were out for the Wii at the time were Pictionary and Dude's Big Adventure. And we got Dude's Big Adventure, and it was just garbage. I mean, all they really had you do, you could color your own characters, and then after that it was a lot of the same thing, just going around collecting coins and bouncing around in a bubble, and it was just for children. I mean, I don't even think kids are going to get any entertainment out of it. The only new game that I've seen even released for it is SpongeBob Squiggle Pants, which just looks awful also.
Well, it looks like they do have a version of Pictionary coming for this new one, so everyone out there who wants Pictionary on their Xbox or PS3, you are set, looks like. So, does anyone think they're going to get this? I'm not interested in a UDraw tablet.
I love Pictionary, but it's not, not
Yeah,
worth
there's
getting.
there's no reason
an
to
entire
pay.
tablet.
This is probably going to be $100 tablet compared to the $60 tablet on the Wii, so it's not worth the money. I mean, the Kinect was only $150, and I don't even see that being worth that much at the moment.
Yeah, unless they manage to do something really cool with this, I don't see any reason to get it.
Speaking of games that I have little interest in, Diablo 3. How do you guys feel about that game?
Considering I haven't played any of the others,
I have played Diablo 2, and just I don't know. I just don't. I have some faith in Blizzard, I suppose, that I know they won't make this a bad game, but at the same time, I don't feel like it'll be the same quality as Diablo 2 was.
I mean, do you think they're going to be able to keep those fans from Diablo 2 since it's been such a long time since it came out?
Well, I mean, if you're a diehard fan of Diablo 2, obviously, I mean, you're probably going to get Diablo 3 just because, you're a fan of the series, you'll get it. I mean,
I don't know how many new fans it's going to bring in.
I agree. I think a lot of people have been waiting a long time for this game, just like StarCraft 2 before it had come out, and people will be waiting for all sorts of Blizzard things. Blizzard has this cult about them, and I think Blizzard makes great games. Don't get me wrong. I also don't think they make games that I personally enjoy.
I really think that Blizzard needs to come out with a movie. I mean, after I've seen,
They do have amazing
some of
CG.
their-
they do
Yeah.
very good work with the.
I mean,
computer-generated
even if they
cutscenes.
came out with a WoW movie, I would see it. I mean, I used to play WoW, but lost interest in it. But I've seen some of the CG animations on YouTube, and
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's very pretty. Now, here's something that does excite me, though, Blizzard, for Diablo 3. I'm not a huge Diablo fan. I've dabbled in Diablo 1, maybe a couple hours at one point. But now they're hiring a PS3 specialist for this team.
Now, what would that job even entail? Like,
I'm glad you asked. It says this position is responsible for overseeing PlayStation 3 or PS3 architecture design, as well as other PS3 specific game code development to maximize platform performance. And it is specifically for Diablo 3. Now, Diablo 3 hasn't been announced for consoles. But I think this is the second time we've seen them hiring a console specialist for this game, because I believe they hired one for Xbox a while back, too.
So that for the same project.
Yes, for Diablo 3. So,
spoiler alert.
Diablo hasn't done anything
Maybe
for...
getting it on your console.
Blizzard hasn't done anything for consoles since StarCraft on N64 or PlayStation, I think. It's been a long time, and those were not very good ports, obviously.
No.
I mean, you try to translate an RTS. Do you think Diablo 3 can work on a controller? I think it's much better off than trying to port over StarCraft 2.
Well, I
feel like it's very much a game for a PC audience.
Yeah, I mean, if they have as many options as World of Warcraft, there's no way you can make it good on the console.
Right.
There's just too many buttons to push. I mean, you're going to have to get 6 controllers to be able to push that many buttons.
So you think there's going to be a problem with how many powers you have.
I think that's.
well,
I just feel like it's gonna have the same problem that it would, that porting an RTS to a console would have, and it's just it's something that works much better if you use a mouse.
Yeah,
And
fair enough.
keyboard.
I mean, yeah, the original was always very much a click fest.
Mhm.
So are you gonna be tapping A, or are you just gonna be pointing in a direction? Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if we heard about it at E3. But I think the more likely story is we'll hear about it at BlizzCon.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to say about that? Because if not,
I mean, I'm surprised we got that much out of that.
Yeah.
that's true. None of us really play that game.
Good thing I played that game, right?
Here's something I'm excited about, and I just found out about this about a few minutes before the podcast started. They're making a new Star Trek game for next gen consoles. It's a co-op action game. Looks very Mass Effect-y, just in like graphical style. It's based on the new Star Trek movies. So the 2009 J.J. Abrams stuff. The game is under development by Digital Extremes, who worked on BioShock 2 and Darkness 2.
Did they make it? Did they make the Darkness?
They were.
too?
It's still
It's not
in
out yet.
production.
It's in production right now.
So it's not indefinitely suspended.
No,
Darkness.
Darkness 2 is coming out
Okay,
this year.
because I really enjoyed the first game. I
I
felt
just
like it was
read
a
about
sleeper.
it.
Yeah, they have quad wielding now, so
Really?
they can hold. Yeah.
Oh, that
they
makes
call
sen-
they
that
call
make-
it quad wielding.
That makes sense, with the Darkness tentacles.
Who can take it seriously? But
I could.
they're making the Star Trek game.
I love the
and,
first game.
This is just an announcement. It's coming out in 2012 for PS3 and Xbox and PC. It looks like.
The one problem I see with this is when you base a game off of movies.
It's not based on the
sometimes-
movie. It's based on that franchise, though.
Mhm.
So it's based on the same universe as that movie.
Well, I'm just.
Right, with the alternate timelines and
I'm
whatnot.
thinking that this game's going to be really popular with the Trekkies. I mean, I don't think it's going to go far outside of that, and I don't know how much they can do with it to bring people in.
Yeah, I'd have to see gameplay footage before I'd be ready to invest in it.
They'd probably have to do.
Did you
a
guys
lot
like the movie in 2009?
I
Yeah, I
loved
thought
it.
it was good.
I thought
did.
it was a fantastic movie, and I'm not a huge Star Trek fan generally.
Yeah, same
I've always
here.
been more Star Wars, but I think that movie kind of converted me over in a way. I still love Star Wars, but I think I'm going to love Star Trek too.
I mean, I love the the last three Star Wars movies, I guess.
Not the prequel.
The
trilogy.
originals, yeah.
Right.
And I mean, this movie was good compared to any other Star Trek movie I've seen. But again, those movies were before my time, most of them.
I think it's better than them trying to set it in the old Star Trek
Right.
universe for sure.
I think they should have brought back William Shatner, but that's just a joke.
And we know it's going to be a co-op game, so you're going to be playing as Kirk and Spock as a shooter.
I mean,
it looks to be cover based.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
And like I said,
Yeah.
the art style very much looks like Mass Effect to me, as far as just like the design, which that movie always kind of did,
Yeah.
as
I
far
was
as like
just-
suit design and things.
I was going to say, I think to get people interested, it'd have to be in the style of Halo or Mass Effect to get any new gamers to come into it.
Well, I'm tentatively excited, and that's coming out in 2012.
I
So
could be more excited.
there are some, as I'm sure many people know, E3 is next week.
Yes.
We're all pretty excited about that. Lots of big things coming out, a lot of stuff we don't know about yet.
I'd rather be there than here.
One thing we do know is coming is Modern Warfare 3, which is going to be, probably the biggest game of all time again, as Call of Duty
course.
tends to be. But
Yep.
this year they're bringing something called Call of Duty Elite, which is a subscription service. Do you guys know anything about this at all?
I just heard about it yesterday. I haven't looked much into it. I just got a
Right.
tweet from Xbox about it, and that's all. All I read was that it's being released, and I don't know anything about it.
Right.
I think the important thing here is that they're not charging you to play the game online.
Yeah.
You can still play the game online as long as you have Xbox Live Gold or you're playing on PS3
Exactly.
or on PC. You're not paying a subscription cost. This isn't becoming WoW. What you are getting though is if you pay whatever they charge, I don't think they've announced it yet. You're going to get all sorts of new matchmaking features. Not necessarily matchmaking, but stat tracking kind of things online. So you're going to be able to go and upload videos, kind of like what Bungie does with Halo Reach and their Bungie.net site.
Right.
So
With the,
if you guys
It's going to keep your medals in line and everything like that, so other people can come look at your stats.
Right, so you can keep track of all that thing. And some of it's going to be free, so you can look at some of that stuff. But then there's going to be premium services that only you can only get if you're paying that subscriptions cost. Now, I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan anymore.
Neither am I.
I used to be. I used to love it back with 2, and I loved 4. And I'm going to play Modern Warfare 3 because I like the Modern Warfare series. But for me, I'm not going to get Call of Duty Elite.
I have to be in the mood. I used to have Modern Warfare 2, and if I if I picked up the controller, I could play it for a couple of days, and then after that, it'd be a few months before I picked it up again. I still haven't played Black Ops, but I know I have a lot of friends who are still playing that, and I just haven't been able to get interested.
Yeah, I play pretty much every game that comes out, and I also haven't played Black Ops because at that point last year I was just not interested.
It came out. Did it come out at the same time as something?
Pretty much,
at a big-
it was November. Everything was coming out. I mean,
I saved my money for Reach, and I got that on the.
Reach was
day it came
September,
out.
but yeah. I mean, from all outside perspectives here, I've heard that Black Ops is great, and this is also going to work with Black Ops. That's how far they're going to go. They're going to go Black Ops and then forward. So all the Modern Warfares after now and all the future Black Ops or whatever they're going to call them are going to be supported by Call of Duty Elite. The other nice thing is if you're paying that subscription cost is you're getting the map packs automatically. It looks like it's a day and date thing. You're not going to get like a early release on those, but if you're the kind of person who buys every map pack and they're $15 each.
Yeah, there's no reason you wouldn't.
If
shouldn't get it.
the subscription cost is like $5 a month, I think you're all in.
Yeah.
If I was into Call of Duty enough, I'd be in for $5. If it's $10 a month, I think you're asking a lot. Because that's three months of that would be enough for the map packs. But then, how much of the stat tracking stuff do I care about?
The one issue I see with these games is I'm starting to see them all blurred together. I mean, I haven't really seen them offer much more. I don't know about Modern Warfare 3, what they're going to be doing with that. But having played Modern Warfare, both 1 and 2, they seem like the same game to me,
Yeah.
just in a different setting. I mean,
I agree
uh,
completely.
I don't see a point in buying another one when I can just play the one I have.
Fair enough. Okay, so outside of Call of Duty, we have big things we are expecting from Nintendo with Project Cafe. Of course, it hasn't been officially announced. The Project Cafe is the development name right now of their next system, their successor to the Wii.
Well, they'll probably just call it the Revolution.
We can always hope they go back to that, but who knows what they're going to call it, right? We've heard things like Stream as a name. What we believe to be the case, though, is that it's going to have this touchscreen controller. It's going to, it's going to basically be on par or slightly above what we see on PS3 and 360 graphic-wise. So it's going to do, full 1080p, which I'm excited to see Nintendo games in 1080p.
Right.
I mean, I'm just interested to see what like they could do with Mario and Kirby or that kind of thing. I mean, I've seen what is it, Super Mario Galaxy, and they brought that into 3D, but I don't know how well Mario will play as 1080 with 1080 graphics.
Well, there's no reason it couldn't work. I mean,
So this controller for this new system is supposed to have a 6-inch touchscreen on it, right? What do you think it's going to take for that to be a really good touchscreen? Because Nintendo has not made a multi-touch screen yet. All they have is this resistive touch that they have on the DS. Even on the 3DS, you don't get multi-touch. Do you think they're going to go multi-touch for this? I think, for me, I want them to. I think they really need to.
I think if they do, it's going to be really glitchy at first.
Why do you say that?
I mean, it's just like Kinect. They kind of released it too soon because they got.
Well, the system's not coming out till next year in the fall, like
Right.
second half of 2012.
they're
is what we're looking
just now. I mean, they haven't even announced.
They're
going to
have to test the hell out of this, I think, for it to work well. They're going to have to make sure that the controller, I mean, is obviously durable also with the screen like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and how much are these controllers going to cost if I want to have some friends over?
That's my main
Is
concern.
everyone going to bring over their controllers? Am I going to have to buy a bunch of controllers and they're going to be $100 each? Or because if the controllers, I can see 100. 100 seems fair enough if you're going to have a 6-inch screen, but anything higher than that for a controller is a little high.
The
too
thing
much.
that sucks about that is you're going to have to pay. You'll pay for the console, which is probably going to be $500-$600 coming out.
I can't imagine it'd be that
Well,
high.
yeah.
that's the estimates I've heard.
I think they're going to shoot for $350 or
yeah.
$400. Probably.
That's what I would estimate.
Nintendo, they are very good at keeping prices down and making money on things.
Well, let's just say that.
And they're saying that these consoles are slightly more powerful than the PS3 and Xbox, so it doesn't necessarily, those systems came out 5 years ago, basically.
Well, let's say, I mean, it's going to be $350-$400 for the console and controller, but then when you're going to buy, you said
Another
controller,
controller.
Controllers.
$100, and then
Yeah.
the games also. I mean,
It's another $40 on top if you're talking about Nintendo controllers, because when you're buying the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck, that's $60 right there.
Yeah.
So,
it's gonna be a big chunk of change at first. I mean, it's gonna take a while to go down. The Wii took what 2-3 years to drop in price.
Yeah, and of course this is all unconfirmed. We don't know the pricing. We don't know anything about it to be sure, other than there is a system being announced on Tuesday.
Do you think they're gonna push as many units as the Wii did?
I think they won't, not initially, especially.
Yeah, I don't think it's really possible considering, you know, how low the price point was and how, you know,
How innovative it was.
yeah, how user friendly it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go out and say it. The only thing that I really, really want out of this console is another Crystal Chronicles game like on the GameCube.
Well, I think that's one of the cool things is they don't have to worry about connectivity anymore. They can do another Four Swords where you have the control.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about hooking up your DS or your Game Boy Advance. You have a controller that has a screen on
Exactly.
it now. So that's cool, and I think they'll hopefully keep trying to do some stuff like that.
Yeah,
Do you think we're going to see a lot of DS port, like up-res ports and stuff because we
I
have two
wouldn't
screens?
be surprised if they did that. Yeah.
I think we'll see some of that. The question is how popular will it be?
I think to manage, I mean, to get a lot of sales, they're going to have to do something really innovative compared to, say, like the Kinect and the Move just coming out. I mean, people are used to seeing motion sensors and stuff like that. They're going to have to bring something brand new and exciting to even push sales. Of
Right, and this is of course going to be backwards compatible with all that stuff. So it's going to play all your Wii games. It's going to still sync up with your Wii remotes.
Will it still take GameCube games?
Yes, it will. That's been announced. I don't think it has GameCube controller ports though. You probably have to just use whatever the controller is. In my opinion, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could still include GameCube ports,
Yeah.
but it would seem a little strange for them to still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go back and play the Metroid games and the
Oh, absolutely.
Super Smash Brothers from the GameCube on there.
Yeah, something I could see them doing with, you know, with a touchscreen. If they make it responsive enough, you could use the touchscreen as, say, like you would use a right analog stick in a first-person shooter. And now that you have the graphical capabilities that an Xbox or a PS3 can do, you know, that's a very real possibility. Is having, you know, AAA first-person shooter titles on the system.
I think we'll talk a little bit more about this when we talk about our predictions for Nintendo's press conference, but I think we can all say that we're really excited to see what they have at least, because it's always exciting to see a new console. It's been a while since we've had one of those, and the 3DS was exciting enough just because it was something new, and the NGP in the same way. We're almost starved for new consoles at this point.
Well, I was going to say, and the other excitement about all of it is once Nintendo comes out with one, you know that PlayStation and Xbox won't be far behind.
Right.
I don't know about that. I think they just launched Kinect and Move, and I think Move may not be doing as well, but Kinect is surely selling really well. And I think that they're going to try and keep it going for a little while. Keep trying to get that money going, try to make it profitable. And I think we'll see maybe 2014, we'll see new consoles announced from them.
I don't know. I think it's going to be sooner, just because if Nintendo has something really innovative, that Xbox and PlayStation are going to have to come out with something to keep up with the market. I mean, they're already behind on Wii sales. I mean, Wii just blew everything out of the water. But so to even compete, they have to have something new. I mean, Kinect isn't new and exciting, but I haven't really seen any new games that aren't anything new and different than what they released at Christmas time.
And I think Monday, when we see Microsoft press conference, we're going to see some good Kinect stuff, and I think we'll be excited about some things. But moving on, since we don't have forever, let's talk about the PSN. It's back up finally, completely, in America anyway. I think Europe is also back up for the most part, especially English-speaking parts of it. I don't believe Japan is back up, though. How is that going to look at E3 when Sony says, hey, PSN's back up, but in our native territory, it's not? How are they going to deal with that?
Yeah, it's kind of odd that, you know, the order in which they did this too, because the PlayStation 3 is much more popular in Japan than it is in the
That's
United
what I was going to
States.
say. It's probably going to take a lot more work to get it up over there, considering they have a larger network.
Well, the reason that the reason that it's not up over there is because Japan's government is not letting them put it back up, because they haven't been, according to them, sufficiently. They want sufficient explanation of what Sony has done to make it better,
Right.
and they don't feel like they've gotten that yet. And
In terms of the
if I was Sony, I would
protection.
want that back up by Monday, by the press conference. If you don't have it
Yeah.
up, there's a problem. it's going to be a big embarrassment. Do you think they're going to talk about it much at the press conference? Do you think they're going to mention it a little
think
bit?
I think they're
to
going
avoid
to
it.
do their best to avoid talking about
I
it.
think they have
yeah.
to mention it though. They can't not mention it at all.
Right.
I think what they need to do is talk about what security they've put in place that's new.
I was just gonna say they're probably gonna show how they've improved it, so
Mhm.
nobody has to worry about their information anymore. But other than that, they're gonna go as far away from it as they can.
Yeah, and,
Right.
and none of us here have PS3s, but my information was in there. I had a PSP that had my credit card information and stuff, so my information is compromised, and I want to get a PS3, but it's tough. Sony's been having a rough go of it, I guess. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I feel bad for everyone else out there, all of those PS3 fans who have been so inconvenienced by this, and the developers that have lost so much money here. I feel terrible for them. And I hope they can get all of it back up everywhere as soon as possible. And I hope I'm hearing reports from security experts apparently, and reading in the news. They're saying it's not safe still, guys. They're saying that the PS3, the PSN's still not safe. That they have people who are IT professionals working on it. What they need to do is get security experts and hackers working on it.
Right.
Apparently, they need to get the Xbox Live security team over there.
Well, that's also different though. You pay for that. You pay for gold.
Right.
But then again, you haven't lost any Xbox Live Silver subscription.
Yeah, I'd rather pay
Information
for it
percent.
and keep my information safe.
True. But well, I guess we'll see what they do at E3, and we'll talk about that next time. Like I said, E3's next week, and we're all super excited about it. Some of E3's already started though. Konami had their press conference
Yes.
last night. It wasn't super exciting, but there was some cool stuff.
It depends on how much you like Konami series.
Yeah. They
enthusiastic
are
you are
doing
about
a remake of a lot of their games.
Mhm.
A lot of
HD
their
remakes.
They're doing HD remakes of Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, and Peace Walker as a pack. Which is, of course, 2 and 3 were on PlayStation 2, and Peace Walker was a PSP game, and they're all getting up-resed
This would be
to high
something.
resolution.
Yeah, this would be something I'd be super excited about if I owned a PlayStation 3.
Oh, it's coming to Xbox as well,
Oh, is
I
it?
believe.
Well then,
That's what my understanding is
I
that
mean,
all these are coming to both
If
consoles.
it comes to Xbox, they're going to bring a lot of new fans to the series.
Oh,
also.
yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, and I think we might even hear about Metal Gear Solid 5 soon. Maybe at one of the press conferences.
I don't think they're actually going to.
I thought they already-
chronologically. I don't
Is it
think
because of
they're-
Rising? You think they're holding off on it?
I was going to say, I thought they just announced a new Metal Gear.
There's Metal Gear Rising they announced last year.
Is that the one with the girl?
That was 2 years ago. They announced it.
I think-
Rising?
No, it's the one with Raiden. Yeah, Rising. Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah.
I believe that was 2 years ago because last year it was the year they did the Kinect stuff. The first year, which is 2 years ago.
Yeah. Chronologically, though, you can't. I mean, you can't have Metal Gear Solid 5 and still have Solid Snake in it.
Well, you don't
because-
necessarily have to. 3 didn't have Solid Snake either.
Right, but that's because it was a prequel.
They could do a prequel again, or they could do a
Yeah.
side story or something. I mean, but they'll probably call them Metal Gear Solid 5 at some point. Question is when are they going to see that?
Right.
And then another famous Kojima franchise getting up-resed, much less successful, of course,
Yeah,
but
much
very
less
famous
recognized.
among the hardcore crowd. Zone of Enders 1 and 2. Zone of Enders 1, of course, famously came with a demo for Metal Gear Solid 2,
Right.
which sold a lot of copies. So people played a lot of that one, but then the sequel came out and no one played it. But it was, by all accounts, much better than the first one even.
Surprisingly, I just grabbed the game once. I just saw it, and it was cheap, so I bought it, and I loved it. I mean, it was really hard to control at first, to control some of the robots' movements and stuff, but once you got the hang of it, I mean, it was a lot of fun. What was it? It's the one, it's one with the robots. It's with swords and guns, right? It's Zone of Enders.
Yes, I believe so. It's the one that was on PS2.
Yeah,
Pretty early on.
really
I'd
fast
say.
moving.
Yeah, it was a very fast game. I believe the second one did some other really cool stuff. But like, I've never played the franchise, but I've always been interested in it. I'll probably give it a shot when it comes out in HD.
Oh yeah.
And then the final HD remakes, as far as what I know about, unless they're doing anything else, Silent Hill 2 and 3, which are interesting. They're not going to do the first one. Same thing with Metal Gear Solid 1. They're leaving out because they were for the generation before. Silent Hill 1 and Metal Gear Solid 1 were for PS1.
Right.
As opposed to PS2.
Yeah,
So these
too long
up-resings
ago.
are only of the PS2 and PSP versions here of these games.
I think what they're trying to avoid seeming like they're trying to milk particular games,
Franchises.
particular games.
I understand that
as much as they can.
I think what they should have done is get an HD remake of Twin Snakes for GameCube and put that in with the Metal Gear Solid. So you would have really the whole series except for 4 then.
Yeah.
In that series, and that would be really cool. Because that's the only one that came out in the PS2/GameCube/Xbox generation. The version of that game. I mean, you could still remake the original, but I think they'd do better with Twin Snakes probably.
Do you think when the new Nintendo system comes out, they'll be making HD remakes of those games?
Absolutely, I do. But I think we'll talk about that when we get a little bit further on. We'll talk about that with our predictions. But now, Colin, I know you're a huge fan of Silent Hill, right?
I enjoy it. Yes.
Yeah, 2 and 3, you like those?
I have never played 2. I have played 1, 3, 4.
You never played 2 though.
Yeah,
I've always
which
heard
is-
2 is the best.
Yeah, which is why I'm very much looking forward to seeing an HD remake, especially if it's on the 360.
Yeah, and I've never played Silent Hill 2 or 3, and I'm very interested to play
I
them.
think I've played Silent Hill 2, and I really enjoy playing the Silent Hill games.
There you go. It'll be in HD.
Yeah.
I don't know if those games have any release date information. I haven't heard anything.
Hopefully they keep the same, they keep the same control style and they don't change it too much like they did with Homecoming. But yeah, I'd very much like to play that if they port that to Xbox.
And one of the last big things that they talked about at the Konami press conference
Well, it's
was
not really talked about so much as.
no. I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually skipping ahead one.
Interrupt.
I'm going to keep that for the last thing, but Kojima announced a new multi-platform engine for his next game.
No, what is that?
An engine?
No, the Fox engine.
The Fox engine? It's the engine that he's going to use to develop his next game.
Is it the thing that is it the connectivity between the PSP or rather the NGP and
the Fox
PS3?
engine is basically just a platform that he's going to make games on. It's
okay.
It's in the same way that you have like the Unreal Engine or something.
Okay.
So it's just a new engine that,
Okay.
but it's interesting because Kojima's doing this, and it's going to be for pretty much, it could be for any Konami franchise pretty
Right.
much. So you could see that going into the next Castlevania, or you definitely Metal Gear Solid you'll see it in.
Oh
but
yeah, of course.
Silent Hill you could see it there, but who knows what they're going to do with it. Obviously it'd be exciting to see whatever his next game is because he's a great developer. And then the last thing they teased was a new Contra game.
Yeah.
You guys fans of Contra?
I loved the first game. I liked 3.
Which was the Alien Wars?
Alien Wars on the Super Nintendo. Probably one of the hardest
Did you ever play
games.
Super C, the second one?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Are we talking about the Contra Sutra?
No.
No.
Not the Kama
Well, then
Sutra,
I've never
just
heard of
Contra.
Just Contra.
I've never heard of it.
You never heard of Contra? Okay. Well, it's an old franchise. It's a side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah.
There's some platforming, very basic kind of things. And then when you get into bases, you do a kind of third-person shooter. But it was on the
Yeah.
NES, so it was very primitive, very cool at the time.
Well, anything on the
Very neat at
NES
the
is
time.
great.
And it's what of course I think Contra's most famous for, in my opinion, is the Konami code, which is
Right.
up, down, left, right, BA,
Start.
start.
Yeah.
So that's the first game. You got 30 life when you put that in.
Mm-hmm.
Are we excited to see a new Contra game? We don't know much about it.
Yeah. I all they really showed was a flaming sea.
Contra? I think they had a 3D Contra on the PS2 and Xbox, but then I don't think it did very well.
No.
What are they going to do with
Hardcore
HD?
is what you're referring to, I think.
No, Hardcore was on Xbox Live Arcade. I'm talking about
okay.
the last.
I can't think of what you're thinking of then.
There was Hardcore, which was the Sega Genesis version, and Hardcore Uprising was the remake or the sequel to that they
Right.
made for the downloadable. It'll be interesting to see, but it's Contra. It could be good, it could be bad.
Yeah.
It's Konami. We'll see.
We'll find out.
Alright, so that's pretty much all the news we have. There'll be a lot more news next week when we have E3. But since we have just all of us here, I want to talk about some E3 predictions for each of the major companies that's going to be there, outside of Konami, of course, because they have already talked.
Mm-hmm.
EA. What do you guys think EA is going to have?
Outside
of sports games.
Yeah. The primary thing I'm hoping for is more information on Mass Effect 3. I mean, that's...
Right, they own BioWare, which
Yeah.
is my favorite developer.
Mm-hmm. And also from BioWare is the MMO coming out, the Old Republic.
Old Republic, that's going to be huge at the show. I'm sure they're putting that out as a WoW killer, which you don't see as often
Isn't
anymore.
that supposed to be free online also?
No. That's
They're
a
charging
subscription
for
one.
that.
Yeah.
I think they even said $15 a month. It's pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's BioWare. It's an MMO. I'm kind of excited. I love BioWare.
I'd much rather see a Mass Effect MMO, but we'll see.
Do you think we're going to see any more Dead Space this year? Like, not necessarily coming out this year, but we think we're going to see an announcement maybe? For NGP or
I don't think they're gonna do it
3DS?
this quickly.
Yeah, I feel like
wait.
they're gonna wait till next
think
year,
Dead Space
or
2
they
is
might
still
they
too new.
might just wait till the Game Developers Conference.
Interesting. Then of course we probably won't hear. What we won't hear about is Mirror's Edge 2.
No.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
As much as we'd all love to hear about that game, it's not happening because DICE is working on Battlefield 3, which is another huge game. Do you guys like the Battlefield series?
I love it. I love everything.
DICE.
Well,
Whatever they
not
do.
necessarily everything DICE, but the first Battlefield game I played was Battlefield 2 on the PC, and that got me hooked into the series. I loved Battlefield 2142, Bad Company 2. Just seeing what they've shown so far on Battlefield 3, what the kind of stuff that they've announced is very much. I'm very excited for it.
Have you played any, Zach?
I haven't, but I have a lot of friends who are really big fans of the series and are always trying to get me to play Bad Company.
You ought to.
It's
great.
They were trying to get me to buy it over Reach, but I can't pass down a Halo
Right.
title.
Yeah. I know for you especially that'd be pretty hard to do.
Gotta get my.
I
grubby
personally
hands
haven't
on
played
some
much
Halo.
Battlefield. The most that I've played is 1943, which is the downloadable Xbox Live Arcade one, which I thought was great for a $15 downloadable arcade title. I also owned Bad Company 1 at one point, but I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah,
and I
2 was
understand
much
2 is
better.
much better, but we'll see with Battlefield 3. It's obviously not Bad Company 3, so it'll be a little more serious, I think.
Yeah.
But
It's much more reminiscent of
Surprising.
Battlefield 2.
it looks amazing. The graphics look
Yeah,
stunning.
graphically it's incredible.
Well, surprisingly, I've heard a lot of people say that they like it better than the Call of Duty games.
Yeah, I think they're definitely positioning this as going up against Modern Warfare 3, and it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out because Battlefield has gotten a name for itself now.
Yeah.
But I think most people are just going to buy both,
Yeah.
honestly. The people who
You-
really like
you
those
go
kind of
to-
games is going to buy both.
Yeah, you go to when you play Battlefield Bad Company 2, you don't play for deathmatch. I mean, you don't play the Battlefield games for deathmatch.
Uh-huh.
It's much more
Objective.
objective based gameplay like
Yeah, it's also class based. You have
Yeah.
you have a medic, you have your long range kind of recon guy and stuff. So there's lots of different things. Anything else from EA?
EA. Not off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either. But let's move on then.
Do you
Sega.
Do you think they'll? I know it's relatively soon.
We'll go back
but,
to EA.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
go back to EA.
Do you think they'll hint at anything related to another Dragon Age game?
I think if we saw something for Dragon Age, it'd be DLC or an expansion at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a 3 until after Mass Effect 3 is out, and that's
Right.
2012. So, as much as I love Dragon Age, I think it'll do them some good to have some time off too.
Yeah, needs a rest period.
It's interesting. I wonder what Visceral's doing if they're not making Dead Space, though. They're not making a new Dante's Inferno, probably. So,
not.
I wonder if they're working on that Jack the Ripper game that was rumored.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. But anyway, back to Sega.
Right.
Sega.
There's not a
It's
whole
Resident
lot.
Evil art, isn't it?
No, that's Capcom. That's next. We'll talk about
Used
that
to
in a
be.
minute. Never was Sega.
I'm just lying.
Which-
Don't listen to me.
Which series?
Resident Evil.
Oh no,
Probably
that
Capcom.
was definitely always Capcom.
So,
Just don't listen to these guys.
I don't know if you guys are excited about anything. I think Platinum Games is going to have Anarchy Reigns there, which is their new beat 'em up kind of
Yeah.
thing for next gen consoles with their character who was in that Wii game, the black and white one. Do you remember?
Mad World.
Mad World, right. There's some characters from Mad World and probably from some of the other games that are going to be in it. Looks like a crazy brawler. I don't know what to make of it yet, honestly.
Yeah, it's
It'll be interesting.
yeah. If
the
they're gonna try to beat Smash Brothers in that regard, it's probably not gonna happen.
No.
But you
I
know,
don't think you can.
no.
I think we'll probably also see something from Sega at Nintendo's press conference.
Yes.
When Nintendo does their press conference, I think as a launch title, we'll see something Sonic related. If not Generations, which is their new Sonic game, we'll see something
new or unique that uses the touchscreen, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually, going back to Super Smash Brothers, if they show something, a new one coming out for the new system.
For this, yeah, that's one surefire way to kickstart your new system for Nintendo is advertise a Smash Brothers game.
Let's just jump ahead to Nintendo. I don't think we want to talk about Sega much more anyway.
No,
I don't
But
really see much
Nintendo,
coming from-
they have the last press conference of the console. They're gonna be on Tuesday of the
Right.
main console makers. Of course, they have the most exciting probably because they're gonna have
Yeah,
a new
they're gonna have
console
the
launch.
Right. I mean, everyone's looking forward to that.
You know, they're gonna have a bunch of new games to show. What do you want to see games wise?
Like we said, Super Smash
Well,
Brothers.
Yeah.
first of
you
all.
heard me, so.
And I think
New
Super Smash Bros. Is the best way to show off all of your characters in HD.
Exactly. If you're gonna graphically update your system.
And another one I'd probably want to see would be a new Metroid. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the newest one just kind of went away from the series. I mean,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna see something from Retro probably.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I have yet to
Retro,
not
of course,
enjoy.
did Metroid Prime. They did the Metroid Prime trilogy, and,
They also
and
did
most
Donkey-
recently they did Donkey Kong Country
Yeah.
Returns,
Which was great.
Yes.
They're all great games. All four of those are amazing.
Yeah, anything that Retro comes out with.
They also
I'm-
do graphics better than most Nintendo companies,
Mm-hmm.
so I think they'll probably be one of the big hitters for for whatever they call the next system's
the
launch.
thing,
The cafe. We'll call it the cafe for now.
The-
So that's the code name that we know.
the DS Wii.
Right, the TVS. Or
Yes.
the
whatever they call it.
Xbox 720 for now.
Yes.
So, do you think that we're going to see them go back to Metroid? Do you think I think what I would most want them to do, and I think what they've talked about in the past, is a new Zelda game. How much would you like to see a new Zelda game from Retro?
I
More than anything.
all of
in
my
opinion.
money.
Well, I'm not sure that they will with Skyward Sword coming out.
That's the other thing.
Right.
Yeah. But
probably gonna
I
wait
think
on
when we
that.
do see one,
Skyward Sword's coming out for Wii though, isn't it?
yeah. Do you think that's going to get delayed and pushed on as a kind of Twilight Princess bridge
I think
for the system?
that would not be surprised if they did that.
Yeah, I was even asking.
I think it's a
if
hard
they would
push
release
otherwise because
Yeah.
well, then again the cafe is coming out next year, right?
Yes.
And they could definitely launch Zelda this holiday season and be fine, I think.
Oh yeah.
So they could still get it out. The question is, do they want to also save it and have a great launch title when they could also make a great launch title besides that, probably?
Mhm.
You know, Smash Brothers.
I
or
wouldn't be surprised. If,
Mario title even.
I wouldn't be surprised if for the new system they came out with a completely new franchise, something.
It's been a while. We haven't seen one
We
since.
haven't, yeah.
Like well, with the Wii, you have like the Mii's and the Wii Party and stuff.
Yeah.
Hardly a new franchise. The last real new franchise I can think of would be like WarioWare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a spin-off. If you're going for like straight new franchise, Pikmin, which is GameCube launch time.
Right.
A lot of other stuff they do is spin-offs, and they did some original stuff on DS too,
Yeah.
but
I
nothing
don't
they
know
really
if-
made a franchise.
I don't know if this is going to be a franchise per se, but something else that I'm looking forward to, another first-party title from Nintendo is
they have some of those.
They do. Is I can't remember exactly. It's Pandora's Tower or something like that. It's
I'm not
it
familiar.
was just released in Japan. It's
And it's
a,
made by Nintendo.
yeah.
What kind of game is it?
It is it's an action adventure title. It's
Okay.
it's dark. It's I don't remember if it's T or M rated, but it's
I think they really need more of those ratings to get more players.
But yeah, it's very much pitched towards the hardcore gaming crowd. It's the gameplay is very much reminiscent of Devil May Cry 1. It's less it's much more about the exploration. Or even Ico, it's from what I've seen, it's pretty similar to that. But yeah, I'll be curious to see if that gets a port to well, not a port, but a US release.
And of course, Nintendo also has another ball to juggle. They have the 3DS, which I have a 3DS. Neither of you do you?
No. There's
I
nothing
think-
out for it right now.
I think the only other person on our site that has one is going to be Dante. And we have it. We like street passing. We like playing the games, but there's not a whole lot to play right now. Of course, that's going to change with Ocarina of Time. But what are they going to show? Are they going to show the new Mario title for 3DS? That'd be cool. Smash Brothers 3DS. Anybody?
That's
And that's
Sure.
possible cross. I mean,
maybe
multiplayer.
maybe
Yeah.
they try to do a cross system thing with the cafe.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to see some cool stuff. What do you? If you had to make one prediction right now about Nintendo's press conference, what would it be, Colin? Not necessarily.
Things that I want,
Not
or
necess-
things that I'm predicting that they're going to show.
It's something that you want, but it's more of a prediction, and it's not something that we know it's going to happen. But I want to be a little bit out there. Don't go with something safe. Shock me here.
Well,
What's going to be their killer launch title outside of Smash Bros? What's their big franchise they're going to bring back and make it huge for this? Are they going to launch Earthbound on Project Cafe finally?
I don't think they're gonna
I think if
do anything new with Itoi.
I think if
What do you
they-
think is going to be the big surprise of their show,
of their show.
of their press conference?
I think I couldn't say.
You gotta give me something. I don't care what.
Crystal Chronicles. Then I want
Crystal Chronicles. There you go. Square Enix is gonna come out with a Crystal Chronicles exclusive for the cafe. It's gonna be awesome, right? There you go.
Yes.
Who knows?
I
What do
can
you got?
dream.
What do you think is
Yeah,
gonna come up? That Nintendo's gonna do? What bomb are they gonna drop?
I think that this isn't going to be a bomb or anything, but I think they really need to work on a new Mario Party. I mean, back when Nintendo
Really?
64 was out.
You want more?
But back when Nintendo 64 was out, that was a great game.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
And
to
now
make
there's
it-
not 10 of them if you count
Yeah.
the handheld titles,
Yeah. They
and
just
11 if you count Wii Party,
That's
which
what
is
I'm
the
saying.
same
They
team.
need to do something new with it and make it bring it back to being fun. And
I guess
everything like it
you could
used
do
to
some
be.
interesting stuff
Yeah,
with
you-
having a screen
With
in
having
town.
the touch screen, yeah, definitely.
And having your own screen that no one else can see, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
I just think they need
They could do
a
some
party
cool
game
stuff.
on something like that. I mean,
Yeah, party game, a cool party game for the Wii, for the Wii 2. I think that's a good
Same.
prediction. Which makes sense. It's Nintendo.
Yeah.
Here's my prediction: we're gonna see some sort of Pokemon game, like a mainline Pokemon game for
Yes.
Cafe.
I would buy it. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a
everyone's
22-year-old
wanted it
man.
forever. I think they want to get the hardcore base back. What do? And like I said, this is pie in the sky. This is me wanting and hoping, but I think they could do it. I think they could pull it out. They've got a year, and
Oh yeah.
nothing on the horizon. They're not
wanted-
remaking Ruby and
I
Sapphire
wanted
or
that
anything.
game
But
back when the Nintendo 64 was playing Pokemon Stadium.
can you imagine if they finally did it, and not necessarily an MMO, but just something with online
Yeah.
play and stuff. You have the touch screen for so you can do like changing your Pokemon. You could actually play split screen and stuff
Yeah,
against someone.
of course.
So that's much more interesting.
That'd be cool if they had like an online play. Just,
That's my prediction for that. Anyway, moving on, Capcom. What do they got? They have that new Resident Evil Raccoon City, right?
do they do Devil May Cry?
They do Devil May Cry,
I
yeah.
know that Devil May
The
they're
DMC, the
completely
reboot.
They're completely
Yeah.
rebooting.
I'm
We're not interested in Resident Evil though.
I am.
I mean, I love Resident Evil.
Let's
what
stick
I've
with Resident
seen-
Evil for just a second before we move on to other things. Resident Evil, huge franchise. They have 3 games being shown that we know of right now.
right.
That's the two
Return to
3DS
Raccoon
ones
City.
and Raccoon City. Do you think we're going to see anything else from them, like an NGP title or
I doubt
a
it.
cafe title? Here's what I would think is interesting, and this is my prediction for Capcom: Resident Evil 6 exclusive to cafe, launch title.
Really.
That's my thought, and I don't have any information to back that up, but I think they had such a good deal with 4.
4 was
Ninte-
fantastic.
If they had if Wii was HD, I think they would have done 5 on the Wii also.
What I would really like to see.
I think if they're gonna really make a push, and it's gonna be the most powerful console, I think they're gonna have Capcom come on and say, "Hey, here's Resident Evil 6."
Yeah. What I'd really like to see is, a return to Resident Evil's roots. The, like how the games played before Resident Evil 4. Like Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time, but it's marketed towards a different crowd than maybe than 1, 2, 3, and 0 were.
True. It's much more of
And
an
Code
action game.
Veronica. Yeah.
It's much more of an action game. 5 was the same way, and even in co-op. So, that's basically just an action game with
Yeah.
co-op. It
Like they were
stopped being
great
a horror
action
game.
games, but if you're looking for,
So, do you want them to go back to that old style?
I would love, I don't want them to abandon their new style, because the new style is fun and great, but I would love to see them, maybe make a couple of games in the style of the originals.
Okay.
For
Like
the,
you
for
said,
the
you
more
were
survival horror fans.
moving on. We're gonna move a little past.
Sure.
I don't think we're gonna see anything else unless we do see that surprise from the cafe.
Yeah.
For Resident Evil 6. You said you were excited for DMC, which is the new Devil May Cry game.
I'm not necessarily excited. I'm
Okay.
kind of leery about it because
Interesting.
I know the
Are you a fan of the franchise then?
I liked the first couple games. I think Devil May Cry 3 and
So you
4.
like 2?
Yeah, 2 was better than
I understood 2 was terrible, but I've always heard
That's from fans of the series. They
that. 2 is generally derided as like a misstep, I think.
Yeah.
But you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it
Okay.
might have been 3, but it's been so long since I
3
played it.
is a
Three is-
fantastic game,
yeah,
from my
3 is
understanding.
great.
It's
But,
the best in the
yeah.
series, from my understanding.
I'm a fan of Dante. I mean, the way, like, the,
Yeah,
the
do
original.
Do you guys have any problems with the character design? I know there
I
was a
do.
lot of uproar. You do?
He looks just
feel-
like, I mean, they made him look
Yeah.
like an emo. I mean, he's
Yeah,
Really?
he doesn't look like a badass to me anymore.
I feel like, what makes Devil May Cry, so much fun, aside from, the crazy combo system and everything, is, how fun of a character Dante is. And, it's just like, looking at his character design, it looks like they just sapped all the fun right out of him.
Now he
No.
looks like he's going to be really, like, dark and...
Yeah, too serious,
Now, I'm going to give you guys a different perspective here. I have almost no series history. I have not really played. I played the demo for 4. So when that
Yeah.
was out on Xbox Live, I downloaded that demo and played it. It was okay. But the fact that they're taking this in a new direction and giving him a new character design actually kind of makes me more interested in it.
Mhm.
So I think
I mean, that's
maybe
probably
it'll
that's
pull
their
some people in.
goal.
Yeah, and if they do that with enough people, then maybe that's what they
I'm
need.
not going to make any, judgments about the game in its entirety, but, I'm not a
We're
fan
just
of
talking about the
design.
character design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I still play it just because I'm also. I don't know what you were gonna say, but
That's fine, go ahead.
just to interrupt. I wouldn't be surprised if they announce something about a Bayonetta 2. 'cause I
that'd be
know-
Sega though.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just similar games. Just
The rumor I heard was that the people who did Bayonetta might be going over to do Metal Gear Rising, but that's just a rumor. So who knows?
Well, I like Bayonetta a lot, so.
Yeah, I've heard it's a great game. I haven't gotten here. I'm not a huge action game,
Right.
like that kind of action game. So then Capcom, do you think they're gonna have Monster Hunter anything big this year?
I
Or are they gonna save that for TGS?
I know they had.
I think we'll see
they've-
the 3DS game probably.
I think they've already announced the
the remake of 3 portable.
the cross-platform
Mhm.
thing, but
was that the try?
no,
It's the remake of
3
the
portable.
portable third.
It was I would
You're the biggest Monster Hunter fan here. So.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
would
know
very
it's a
much-
lot bigger over in Japan.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge in Japan.
So you think they would maybe save if they were going to announce, say, a Monster Hunter 5 or 4? I guess it would
I
be.
think they'll
I would
save it
love
for
to- I
Capcom.
If
would
they
love
announce
to
Monster
see
Hunter
it
4,
on
do you
a
think they would
Nintendo
save that for
console.
TGS?
I think that's probably what would that's probably what's going to end up happening. I would love for them to announce a Monster Hunter as a launch title for the Project Cafe.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going
Or-
to go
but-
in for that.
I don't think that's going to happen. What I would like to see is a Monster Hunter title on the 3DS. I think
I
that
think
would
that's gonna
be
happen.
that would be hugely successful.
I think it's going to happen. I think that's far and away definitely going to happen pretty soon. I think that was going to be announced at the festival earlier this year, but then because of the tsunami in Japan, they had to delay that announcement.
Right.
And we are running a little low on time, so let's kind of hurry. I don't think we have anything else for Capcom. Activision, of course, Modern Warfare 3. No more music games. Big change for them.
Really?
Well, yeah, they're not doing Guitar Hero this year. They're not doing DJ Hero.
They got rid of that.
Yeah,
whole
that's all. They closed
thing,
that company. They're not
Okay.
doing it this year. They may come back at some point, but
and they just kind of
so that's
lost
all new.
themselves in that whole mess.
I hadn't heard that, so
yeah, that's big news. Guitar Hero's gone. So anyone who didn't know that, sorry about that.
It needed to die.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Warriors
miss the
of Rock
competition
was
more,
just-
but the competition helped make both series more strong, much stronger. So I'm gonna miss that. But other than that, I'm glad Rock Band won.
I'm going to talk about maybe really briefly about Microsoft and
Well, we're gonna get to we'll finish with Microsoft and Sony, but I want to get through Activision and Ubisoft really
Okay.
quick. Activision, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I also want to talk about 2K because 2K
Yeah.
has some cool stuff. But Ubisoft, of course, has the new Assassin's Creed,
yes,
which is the third in the trilogy.
right.
It's not Assassin's Creed 3. It's the third in the Ezio trilogy.
Oh, are they doing that? Okay.
Yes, they are doing a separate trilogy within a trilogy. So they had
Interesting.
Assassin's Creed 1, then they have Assassin's Creed 2, and 2 sequels to that game, and then they're going to do Assassin's Creed 3. So this is supposed to wrap up all of Ezio's story and bring Altair into it.
Really?
Yeah, we don't know how... Yeah, it apparently takes
I-
place in Istanbul, which, of course, as you know from the song, was Constantinople.
Istanbul, Constantinople.
I think this is when it was Constantinople, maybe. But
Why did Constantinople
that was
works?
Constantinople was important because it was when there were two popes at one point because
Right.
they had split up the church. There were two popes, and one of the popes was there. So obviously, that seems like a pretty obvious place for them to go since they've already dealt with killing the pope enough times.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see anything about Assassin's Creed 3 as...
Not till next year.
Okay.
I think they're gonna finish on Revelations. It's called the third one in this kind of mini trilogy.
Yeah, I think they count those.
I'm excited for new multiplayer from that and stuff. But there's not much more to say. It's another Ezio game. I'd really rather see 3 at this point, but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna play it and I'm probably gonna enjoy it because I like the last 3
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed games.
As long as they don't, they don't pull what they did at the end of 2 and just
Ubisoft,
apple the game. That was...
Yeah, well,
Didn't
we're
like
not gonna
that.
get into that right
Okay.
now. But
Yeah.
we don't have time.
Moving on.
Other things Ubisoft's gonna have, they're gonna have Rayman.
Are they?
The Rayman Origins,
Okay.
which is the 2D side-scrolling game.
We're actually going to
Returning
get
to
rid of
Roots.
the rabbits for once and just.
Well,
free.
not on Wii, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's cool to see them go back to that art style. I like 2D Rayman. Do you guys like 2D Rayman?
Yeah.
Rayman.
I was a
Let's see how it
huge
goes.
fan of,
The art's very HD and very really well drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Can you bring
What
back
system is
Earthworm
that coming
Jim?
out?
That's I don't know. I want to say it's an Xbox, PS3, and Wii, but it might move to Cafe. I
Okay.
don't. It might be a downloadable game even,
Yeah.
but who
I could
knows?
see them doing that.
Either way, I'm excited to hear about it. Do you think we're gonna hear anything about Beyond Good and Evil 2 this year?
I
We're all holding out a candle, I think.
I hope so, but I just,
I heard.
if they're going to do it this year,
I think it depends on how well the remakes sold.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
some talk.
Did anyone?
that,
Did you buy it?
I
didn't buy it. I'm ashamed to say I didn't buy it. I plan on buying it at some point.
Yeah.
It's still sitting there, the trial version. I
You
haven't
played the
unlocked it.
demo.
Yeah.
I heard some talk though that Beyond
I'm a
Good
bad
and Evil 2
person,
is
I
a
know.
long way out, if even that.
Yeah.
I mean,
But if
Anything
they're going
else
to do it
from
this year,
Ubisoft,
it's going
though?
to be here.
Is there anything else that we'd be excited from Ubisoft that you guys can think of?
Uh,
Probably no Splinter Cell this year.
do you
Thought I've heard
I was
of.
I was actually about to
Do you
say
think
I was wondering if they're going to do a Splinter Cell this year.
It'd be cool. I'd love to see a Conviction 2 kind of thing. The
Maybe.
question is, are they going to go back to the old style, or are they going to keep the new one?
Well, if they're going to do a Conviction 2, they're probably going to keep it in the same style as the last game. But
Yeah,
I would-
but not maybe it's not necessarily called Conviction 2, but the next Splinter
Right.
Cell, do you think that it's going to be in that gameplay style, or are you just going to go back to the slow stealth-based kind of thing?
I'd much rather have it be like the older Splinter Cell
Okay.
games. But I think the newer gameplay style has merits.
Personally, I love Conviction.
Yeah.
I would stick with that. I did play some of the older games. The co-op was fun in those, but
Yeah, Chaos Series great.
other than that, Ubisoft, nothing I want to really talk about
Yeah.
right now. I can think of. Before we move on to Microsoft and Sony, I did want to mention, I didn't have this written down, but 2K games. Of course, they're going to be showing Bioshock Infinite, which is probably going to be a lot of people's game of the show.
Yeah,
The game looks amazing.
yeah.
I haven't played it, but I've watched that gameplay demo a few times, and it is breathtakingly beautiful, and it just seems like there's so much to do in that world.
he has a video game erection right now.
It's my game boner is from
He's
here
about
to the moon.
ejaculate.
It's huge. I don't know if you have you played Bioshock 1 or 2?
I have not. No.
Okay, you
Lindsay,
played
my
Bioshock.
wife-
I played both of them.
She loves that. Okay, and you played both of them.
Yeah, if
I played
it's
both of them.
if it's anywhere near as good as Bioshock 1,
Yeah, I think
then I'll.
next year we're gonna see
Must
this
buy.
game, Bioshock Infinite, and Mass Effect 3 fighting out for Game of the Year. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a tough one. And then I think we'll probably see a new Grand Theft Auto 5 is my guess from them.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be
yeah.
surprised. They don't have anything
It's
else
been a
announced right now
while,
besides Agent, I think, which is we've seen
haven't heard that.
we've seen a logo for it. It's a PS3 exclusive. We don't know anything else about it though.
Okay.
Just that.
All right, and speaking of PS3, let's move on to Sony.
Okay.
Their press conference, of course, as I stated earlier, is going to be kind of weird. They got this whole thing with their PSN being
PSN,
down,
yeah.
so that's going to be weird. But let's look past that. Do you think we're going to see a price drop for the PS3?
Very soon, yes. I mean,
What's it
either-
at now? 300.
It's at 300 and 400, depending on if you're getting a bundle and what size hard drive and stuff.
I think right after E3, Xbox. And
You think we're going to see a
PS3 will
200 PS3?
I doubt it. I think they'll probably keep.
You don't think they're going to drop down to that price range of Microsoft?
I think they're going to have to compete since they're already behind
Yeah.
in sales.
Can they take that kind of hit? Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting. What I do know is we've been seeing a lot of like ads in newspapers and stuff that have, you know, these systems with gift cards all the time. You know, Target, Best Buy, Walmart, all these places are going to have. For the last few weeks, they've had 50 to 60 or 75 in some cases gift cards with these consoles. Do you think we're going to see that kind of thing? I mean, that's generally a pretty good indicator. We're going to see probably a price drop from Microsoft and Sony. Do you think one of them's going to upstage the other? You think Microsoft's going to go for a $100 console with their 4 gig? You think they could do that?
I can't see them
no.
doing
You think
it
they're going to
so
match the
low.
Wii at 150 then?
I think that
I
they'll
think-
go higher than 150, but I don't think
Really?
they'll
You think-
match the Wii.
You don't think they're going to match the Wii at 150, even
No.
with the 4 gig console without Connect?
No, I think that the Wii console has slowed down enough that the sales have slowed that
Yeah.
the Xbox isn't worried about dropping down there, because Xbox.
I think we're guaranteed a $50 price drop from both consoles at least.
Yeah, I think.
I'd be surprised if we got nothing from one of them. Even.
Yeah.
I think
Especially Sony, they've had some bad press. I think they want to get some good press out there with the
Yeah.
price drop.
I think they
Yeah.
kind of need to. So
Yeah. So, what are there any big Sony games you guys are looking forward to? I think Uncharted 3
Yeah.
looks
That's-
amazing.
that's-
I'm
the
gonna buy a
first-
PS3 this year
Yeah.
because
The
of that.
second game was incredible. So
Yeah, I never personally played it, but I've always really, really wanted to.
Yeah.
God, I need to play those games. You know, there's that. There's Infamous 2 is coming out the day of their press conference,
yeah, that's
so they probably won't show that at E3, but that's coming out
yeah, that's
soon,
not-
real
not-
soon.
not
Hopefully,
too
we'll
big.
have a review of that for you guys.
I've heard rumors of side releases to the God of War franchise, which would probably be good, but I don't really know anything about it. I mean, I can't tell you if that's actually.
Yeah, we're gonna see new God of War. We're gonna see the new Twisted Pixel or Twisted Metal.
Metal.
Yeah, that's gonna be there probably from David Jaffe, who
I
did
would be
God of
surprised
War.
if they didn't announce maybe another portable God of War title for the NGP.
Yeah, well, they have Uncharted coming
Those
for
are
NGP.
hugely popular.
Do you think they're gonna? What do you think the guys are? They're gonna announce for the NGP? Do you think they're gonna have a name? Probably. The rumors that we've been hearing, besides PSP2, which seems like the most obvious choice, is this thing called either PlayStation Vita, VITA is what they're calling it. It's the PlayStation Vita, which is I think Latin for life or something
Yeah,
kind of like
it
that.
is.
So, do you think that's a good name for it? It sounds almost like a cell phone.
No,
and I've heard a
it's-
lot of people complaining it. It sounds
Yeah, I
like it
think
sounds like a
that-
Sony phone.
They'd have to come up with something better.
I think that's
What do
just-
you want it to be called?
I think that's just a project name like Connect with Natal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want them to call the NGP? Would you want them to stick with NGP? Do you want them to go PSP2? Do you think that name's too ruined? What do you think that they're going to go with it?
I don't think they would call it PSP2, but
I'd love for them to call it the PSP2. Why not? Like, it's
I mean, it
it's
would
such a
follow their
Sony
name-
thing to do because
Yeah, it
their
would
naming
follow their
conventions
naming
are so
convention.
set in stone
Yeah.
that I would hate for them to see it and break it. Like, even the PSP Go was kind of silly.
yeah.
But it's not as bad as Vita, I think, would be. But, you know, we can make a lot of deal about the name of it. I think the most important thing we could hear about it is price and release date.
Yeah.
What do you think the price of this thing's going to be?
I think it's going to be about the same.
As the
If not,
PS3? or-
no, the same as if not. I mean, if not higher.
I'd
than
see it
the-
as maybe
the-
250.
Yeah, I was going to
Like
say
the
the
3DS.
Really? You think
yeah.
they can match the 3DS?
I think it's going to be a little higher, maybe $50 higher than the 3DS. Just
Yeah,
because of
I'm
technology.
thinking we're looking at 300 or 350. I think there will be a $300 model, whether that's Wi-Fi only or if that's a 3G on a contract or something. I think we'll see something like that. So do you have any? I guess is there anything else big from Sony that you think we're gonna see?
I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your prediction? What's your big prediction for Sony?
For
Colin?
Sony. Honestly, I think just this year they're going to be focusing, on the NGP.
Okay.
Lots of launch titles and stuff. for
Okay.
that.
What do you think is going to be the big surprise that we don't know about yet for the NGP launch? What's your prediction here?
I feel like they would have to come back with a series that maybe they've abandoned for a while.
Like Jack and
Like-
Daxter?
I was thinking more like the Twisted Metal game, but
Well, that hasn't been abandoned. They did
Right.
it on PSP. I don't know. This is your prediction.
right.
What's the killer app if they can't get Uncharted out at launch? Is it Little Deviants? I mean,
I
it's
think-
probably good, but what do we not know? What is the thing that they're going to shock us with?
I think honestly their best bet would be coming out with a God of War title.
God of War. There you go. God of War NGP.
Stealing mine, but if anything,
Okay, we want something else, but
Uh-huh.
you're agreeing with that already.
Something that would shock everyone, I think, is if they brought back Crash Bandicoot.
Oh
No,
yeah,
they can't because that's owned by someone else, though.
Right.
That
Who
was
owns
sold
that
off.
now.
Isn't
it like Atari?
Sierra, who was bought by Activision? So Activision,
Huh.
I believe.
I mean, like I said,
Who owns
it would
pretty much
be
everything?
shocking if they came back
That's
out.
true. If they made an exclusive one, I think if it was a
Or
multi-platform, it would be
Spyro
shocking.
the
but-
Dragon. I mean,
Also.
something crazy and old.
Well, they're making a new Spyro though.
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't been especially well.
So you want them, so you want them to go back
to
to like PS1 era,
I mean, I think that a lot of people would go back.
or
to
you
the
can make a PS3
nostalgia.
prediction. Do you have a PS3 prediction? Like what do you think they're gonna do with it?
I don't know, but no, I can't think of anything.
You gotta have something. I need
Here's
something here.
I haven't owned a PlayStation in forever. I think it would be cool if they brought out a new Battlefront game. I mean, Star Wars Battlefront was a fantastic game.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be from them, obviously, but yeah, I think they could definitely announce that at their press conference, and that'd be cool. A cool gift for them.
I would like to revise my prediction. I think their big thing is going to be, well, here's hoping anyway, but Beyond Good and Evil 2.
There you go. So
Well,
we're
that's
optimistic.
That's Ubisoft, but
Well, I mean,
whatever.
if it's at their press conference, it counts.
Yeah.
So, for my prediction, I'm going to go ahead and say that they are going to not talk about Move very much.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear much about new Move
That's
games.
probably pretty safe.
You're going to hear some Move talk integrated into games that are not Move games. Like
Right.
Uncharted's going to have support for it, things like that. But you're not going to see a lot of games that are made for the Move, I don't
No.
think. I think that thing's going to get swept under the rug much more than Kinect is. I think.
Yeah.
And speaking of Kinect, let's move on to Microsoft.
Right.
Perfect. And this is going to be our last for the show. Microsoft is, of course, very exciting. They, I think, have the most to prove out of everyone. They don't have a new console coming. They have a hugely successful Kinect that we don't know what they're going to do with. So they got to show us that they're going to do something with that. You know, they don't have new hardware really in the way. Do you think that we're going to see some shockers? We've heard things about HD remakes of Halo,
That's
a possible
kind of
Kinect
what
Gears
I'm
of War
looking forward to.
title, which would be weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
at
know.
best.
I don't know how they would work that into the Kinect though.
Who knows?
I think I think the Gears of War is what is going to keep Microsoft strong this year, and along
Gears
with,
3, of course, is coming this year, but we know all
Right.
about
And
that.
I heard just yesterday that LucasArts is pairing with Kinect for a new Star Wars Kinect game. Not sure what it's going to be like. It just recently read a tweet about it. So.
Yeah, Star Wars Kinect, of course, they showed that it wasn't really playable last time we saw it. It was just more of a tech video, just kind of showing you the idea behind it. It could be really cool. Just like Gears of War Kinect could be really cool, I guess.
Or it could be.
It could be
just
terrible,
Weird.
but
and
you
dumb
know,
and
it
stupid.
really depends on what these developers can do with this thing, and I think we're going to really see that at the C3, and that's exciting for me.
I heard some pretty good concepts. I know that they're coming out with a game called, I think it's called Haunt, where you're actually in a haunted house.
Yeah, and you have you
have
point
a
around a flashlight. Yes.
and,
I
it's
would
supposed
play
to be
that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a downloadable thing. We're going to see a lot of things like that.
The Sesame
I would love to see
Street
it.
But do you think
game.
we're going to see like a megaton, like a huge announcement of Microsoft's? Like, are we going to see an announcement of their next Halo game after a Halo remake?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe they, you know.
I think that,
I
maybe
think they
we'll
might
see who's
announce
developing
who's
it.
taking over, but I don't think. they'll
Well, it's
announce
343 Industries. The question is, are they going to be developing it or are they going to outsource it? Because they seem to be outsourcing this first remake here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
think-
the people who did Time
Like I
Shift.
said, I think that they're just going to announce a developer. If anything, I don't think they're going to announce a title or anything yet. I think it's too soon after Reach and too soon after
Right.
Bungie got rid of it.
Do you think we're going to see any huge announcements of like upgraded functionality, like what we had in the past with Netflix or Hulu or any of these? We're going to see a friendless cap. We're going to see clans coming in the fall, maybe. Finally, I mean, they don't have a lot of stuff coming out. Maybe it'd be
Yeah.
good for them to get a new kind of refresh on their console.
Well, like Dante was telling me earlier, that the Kinect is going to be they're going to be upgrading their face tracking, so you're going to be able to do, your avatar is going to be able to face track not just your arms, but your,
Right.
I mean, so that's going to be exciting. I mean, if you can actually Skype like that over your TV to your friends.
Speaking of Skype, we'll probably hear about Skype at the conference because Microsoft bought them, and that'll be integrated into the Xbox.
Man, that's going to be.
So we'll probably hear about that. That'll be one of the guaranteed things we're going to hear about in the next update for Xbox. The question is, what else? And I'd love to see some sort of real overhaul like they did with when they did the new Xbox experience a few years back.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that's so drastic, but just with a bunch of new features. Just
Yeah.
I have this Xbox. I want to do a bunch more stuff with it right now. I want them to throw in maybe a mail client for email. I think they could throw in a Internet
I
Explorer
think
web
they
browser.
need to upgrade their Facebook on there. I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff they could do, especially if you could really have your Facebook friends be tied in with your Xbox Live gamer tag
yeah,
stuff.
so
So it's like the same.
it can tell you who's all on.
So it's all
you
linked
don't
and
have
stuff.
to
That'd
find
be
them
much
all.
easier.
Something I could see them doing that would be a big hit is maybe come out with a new Xbox Live subscription plan. Like a lot of people they just want to use Xbox Live Gold so that they can play their games online, and they're not really interested in all the Netflix and all those apps and stuff. Maybe they separate the current Xbox Live Gold into one that's you get the
A platinum service, maybe.
right keep the current price for the platinum service, and then maybe do a price drop for
People that just want to play online.
just
Yeah,
the games.
it's people
yeah.
who just want to play the games, or people who are just using it for like Hulu and stuff like that. I mean,
Right.
I don't get to play games very often, so
There may have even been a chance at some point this year when we would have heard, had things gone differently, that Microsoft was going to drop the Xbox Live subscription cost. I think the problem is Sony messed up real bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they've very much proved that, people want to pay for it because they think it's going to be better. I think Sony, they're getting to the point where they're almost comparable with Microsoft on a lot of their online. They have a lot of online parity. That's what I'm saying. They do a lot of things the same. The question is, how similar do they have to be before Microsoft can't really charge for it anymore?
yeah. The problem is,
And I think with the fact that they got hacked so hard, they can still charge.
and the problem is Microsoft just raised their prices earlier this
And they keep
year.
adding things. And I think that would be one of the reasons I would like to see them expand all this stuff, because we are paying more now. It'd be great for
And
them
we
to
haven't
expand our
gotten anything
functionality.
new. I mean,
We
Hulu
got
Plus,
Hulu Plus,
yeah.
which I love, and I love having
you
Netflix
also
on my
have to pay for
Netflix
that.
with Connect. Yeah, and that's all in gold. So who knows? Any big predictions? Let's start with you on this one, Zach. Do you have any big predictions for what Microsoft might show that we don't know?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I know. I mean, with the release of the new Transformers movie and stuff like that, I know that we're trying to reboot the Transformers game series. I wouldn't be surprised if they integrated it with Kinect somehow, which would be cool because I mean, the rest of those games have kind of been flops, so they need to do something new with it to get people interested. Other than that, probably just a lot of new Kinect titles. To get people interested.
Do you think there's going to be something to get us really excited for a hardcore Connect title?
What
What do you think the hardcore Connect title that's going to get me wanting to buy a new game for my Connect?
I don't know. They're going to have to do kind of like PlayStation did with the Move. They're going to have to try to integrate more of the older games into it.
I don't want them to go back and do that stuff. But what I think would always, and I've always thought this would be cool, is if you say you have a controller in your hand, but say you're playing a first-person shooter, you could make gestures, almost like a SEAL team would. And
Yeah, like maybe.
Like, say you pump your fist if you want someone to charge a door or something.
It was-
And they would take commands that way. You could do voice commands, I think, really well. So I think a Halo could do that,
Yeah, what
or
was-
Gears of War.
I mean, if they did something like that game that came out a few years ago, where you just you gave your commands over the headset and
Lifeline.
No, that's the PlayStation 2 game.
What?
It was a
I thought we were talking about the PS2 game.
No,
I know what you're
For
talking
Xbox
about.
Yeah.
360?
No,
It was a
they had
real-time
for-
strategy
yeah.
game.
Oh, yes, that was... What was that? End War.
End
Tom
War.
Clancy's
Tom
End War.
Clancy's End War. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, that was the one. And
So did anyone actually play End War, though?
No.
no, but I saw a few people play.
You
it.
remember Dan Thorman? He played that.
Okay.
I don't remember him at all.
Yeah, well, the voice recognition seems a lot better than it did on previous
Yes.
things, though, with Kinect. I love using it with Netflix and stuff, so I'd love to see more voice commands in games, even if that's all there was. There was a rumor, though, going around that Mass Effect 3 supported Kinect as a
Really?
possible addition. It's the box art leaked, and I think it had better with Kinect, which is what they used to say, that you use Kinect in some parts of the game, but it's not essential for the whole game.
I think if they're going to do something with Kinect, and I wouldn't be surprised if
Squad commands for Mass Effect
Yeah.
3?
that or
Done.
yeah, sure.
Game of all time, whatever.
Well, already.
Yeah,
but
that's gonna be the best game of all time.
anyway, something I wouldn't be surprised if they just came out with a new project, or that maybe a new project this year at E3.
So what's your Microsoft prediction then?
I think either they're going to do like we were talking about earlier, they're going to do an overhaul of the user interface,
Mhm.
or they come out with a completely new project. Because
Interesting.
I feel like, people know what to expect on the Xbox now, and I feel like if they should come out with something new.
I think for my prediction, and this is probably the easiest prediction I've made so far, and I think it's probably almost cheating, but I think that Microsoft's going to have something with a controller and Kinect at the same time for the first time, and they really haven't shown anything like that yet. And I think when we start to see that was something that I was always excited about when I heard about Kinect in the first place, and I think a lot of people were, and I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I think they're going to do that with a lot of the first-person shooters that are coming out. I don't remember what it's called. Do you guys remember Sandstorm or something like that? The Kinect, the first-person shooter that's coming out in October, I believe.
For Kinect, there's a first-person shooter. I haven't heard about this.
Hmm.
But, yeah, I mean,
I
there's
may be
obviously going to be
lying.
some interesting surprises. All this within less than a week, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's pretty much going
Much
to
more
wrap up our
excited than I
show
was
for
last
today,
year.
though. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a much more exciting E3. We'll try to get back to you with a new podcast next week. Once again, thank you, Zach, for not only being on the show, but also opening your house to us. Thank you, Colin, for coming and talking with us. We've been talking for,
Almost 2 hours
Almost 2
now.
hours at this point, which is much longer than we planned on talking. We may have another segment after this, but probably not. This is pretty long. So let's get the plugs out of the way. Zach, you are at Soapy Butt Cheeks on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
That's also your gamer tag. It's just Soapy Butt Cheeks.
Soapy
correct?
Butt Cheek. on
Singular.
Singular.
Twitter.
So it's singular.
cheek because I
There you go.
my old gamer tag got deleted, so
Huh.
All right. My Twitter name is at Tony Livingston. Very simple. Livingston without an E. Colin is nowhere on the internet.
I am isolated. I might as
He
well
doesn't
be,
have a
I might as
Facebook,
well be
so-
living in a small cabin in Siberia.
Yeah, this guy is underground. Pretty hardcore in that way. Oh yeah, my gamer tag is Pojo Bayon. It's Pojo and space and then BAON. So if anyone wants to hit me up there, the Geek Switch Twitter account is at Geek Switch. If you want to send us any emails, do you have any questions, do you have any criticisms, you want to tell us to make this show shorter, maybe, or
Please.
longer, who knows?
I don't know if you've made it to this point to hear us say.
Yeah,
this,
if you're
but-
hearing this, then you've already made it farther than most, I'm sure. All four of you
Count
listening.
yourself among
And that
the
was before we
elite
lost
listening
3 of them.
force.
So, the one of you listening still, send us in. Let us know what you thought of it. It's podcast@geekswitch.net is our email address for that. I'll also give out my personal email address here. I don't care. It's pojobayon@gmail.com if you want to send me any questions you have, any critiques, anything about the site. Other than
Any
that,
pictures of yourself naked?
yeah, sure, why not? As long as you're an attractive female.
We'll take a look at them.
Or a really attractive dude. I mean, just kidding.
You're
Anyway,
not.
so I think that's gonna wrap it up for the night. Anyway, if you're still here, thanks for joining us for the first episode of the Geek Switchcast, and we will see you next week.
And again, we are Geek Switch. Thanks for getting down and nerdy with us.